Have you ever listened, not to the noise in your mind, but to the silence that rests between your thoughts? What if that silence is not empty, but holds the very echo of the universe, a resonance of your truest self? We spend our lives in the relentless pursuit of light, yet we have become like moths, drawn not to the sun, but to the cold, artificial glow of screens, of deadlines, of the expectations of others. We move faster, we accumulate more. We connect with thousands at the tap of a finger, yet a profound exhaustion settles deep in our bones. It is a quiet ache, a nameless restlessness that hums beneath the surface of our busiest days. It is the subtle, haunting feeling that in all our doing, we have forgotten how to simply be. It is the whisper of a fire within, a sacred flame that is being starved of oxygen, choked by the dust of a life lived on the surface. This is an invitation to step away from that noise, not to a physical place, but to a sanctuary that exists behind your eyes, within your breath, a space to gently lay down the armor you have carried for so long, the weight of your name, your history, your fears. This is a journey inward, a pilgrimage back to the source. We are not here to build something new, but to remember what has always been. We are not here to light a fire, but to clear away the debris that has hidden its eternal glow. The journey home begins now, in this moment, with this breath. Welcome to the stillness. Welcome to yourself. Here we begin, in the great silence. The world outside, with its demands and its deadlines, fades to a distant hum. The voices of others, the reflection in the mirror, the story you have told yourself about who you are, they all begin to recede. And what is left is the void. Do not be afraid of this word. We have been taught to fear emptiness, to fill every vacant moment with sound, with tasks, with thoughts. We treat silence like a vacuum that must be instantly occupied, lest we implode. But what if this void is not a lack, but a presence? What if it is the primordial canvas upon which all of creation is painted? It is the space between the notes that makes the music. It is the stillness of the womb from which all life emerges. This is the ground zero of your being. When you dare to stay here, even for a moment, the first reaction is often panic. The mind, your conditioned mind, begins to scream. It tells you this is boredom. It tells you this is loneliness. It tells you that you are wasting precious time. It will flash images before you, a to-do list, a past regret, a future anxiety. It will do anything, absolutely anything, to pull you out of this vast, undefined space, because the conditioned mind, the ego, cannot exist here. The ego needs labels. It needs problems to solve. It needs a past to regret and a future to control. The void offers none of these. It simply is. And in its isness, it threatens the ego with annihilation. This is the first great conflict on the path. The frantic urge to run, to pick up your phone, to turn on the television, to lose yourself in any distraction, is pitted against a quiet, almost imperceptible curiosity. A whisper from a deeper part of you that asks, what happens if I stay? What is here, really, beneath the mind's terror? This is the ultimate test of courage. Not the courage to slay dragons, but the courage to sit still, to face the vastness of your own inner space without flinching. So you stay, you breathe, you allow the panic of the mind to be there without fighting it. You watch it like a storm on a distant horizon. And then, something remarkable happens. In the deepest, darkest, quietest center of that void, you perceive something. It is not a thought. It is not an emotion. It is a presence. It is a tiny pinprick of light, a single glowing ember. It is infinitesimally small, yet its warmth is undeniable. It is surrounded by an infinite velvet blackness, but it is not consumed by it. In fact, the darkness serves only to define it, to reveal its existence. This is the first spark. This is the eternal flame of your soul. This ember is your birthright. It was not given to you at birth. It is the very substance of the consciousness that allows you to be born. It has never been extinguished. It cannot be extinguished. It has only been buried under layers of conditioning, of fear, of other people's opinions, of your own limiting beliefs. Every time you chose distraction over silence, you threw another handful of ash upon this ember. Every time you believed you were not enough, you suffocated it. Every time you sought validation outside of yourself, you turned your back on its gentle warmth. But it is still there, waiting with infinite patience. The void is not your enemy. The void is the clearing in the forest that allows you, finally, to find this spark. The emptiness is the sacred space that allows its faint light to be seen. You do not need to create this light. You do not need to earn it. Your only work is to cease doing all the things that obscure it. Your only task is to stop running. This is why the practice of the sacred pause is so vital. It is not meditation to achieve a goal. It has no purpose other than to be. For 5 minutes a day, give yourself permission to do nothing. Find a quiet place. Sit. You can close your eyes or leave them gently open and simply be. Do not try to stop your thoughts. That is a fool's errand. Let them come. Let them go. Do not try to feel peaceful. If you feel anxious, then feel anxious. If you feel bored, feel the full texture of boredom. Your only instruction is this: do not move. Do not act on the impulse to escape. Be the silent, unshakable mountain, and let the weather of your mind pass over you. In the first few attempts, this may feel like a form of torture. The mind will rebel violently. But if you persist, day after day, you are performing a profound act of spiritual discipline. You are teaching your entire being a new way to exist. You are declaring that you are no longer a slave to the frantic energy of the ego. You are aligning yourself with a deeper, more ancient power. And in the space you create with this simple, courageous act of stillness, the ember will glow a little brighter. You will begin to feel its warmth, not just in those 5 minutes, but carrying over into your day. It is a quiet confidence, a sense of being anchored in something real, something that the chaos of the world cannot touch. This is the beginning, the great remembrance. You are not the storm of your thoughts. You are not the roles you play. You are not your past successes or failures. You are the silent watcher. You are the vast, open space of the void. And at the very heart of that space, you are the indestructible, eternal flame. The journey from here is not about adding anything to you. It is a process of subtraction, a clearing away of all that is not you, so that this flame can grow. From a single ember, it can become a steady light, a warming fire, a blazing sun. But it all begins here, in the courage to face the emptiness and the grace to discover the spark that has been waiting for you all along. By acknowledging this spark, by giving it just a fraction of your attention, you have unknowingly signed a contract with your soul. You have agreed to see. And the first thing you will begin to see, with painful clarity, is just how much noise you have allowed to fill your life, both inside and out, precisely to avoid the profound truth of this inner silence. The silent ember makes you sensitive to the jarring sound of the world. You have felt the spark. You have touched the silence. And now, as you return to the world, you find it has changed. Or rather, you have changed, and you now perceive the world for what it is. A relentless, overwhelming cacophony. A storm of noise directed at the human soul, designed to keep you distracted, to keep you consuming, to keep you from ever looking within. This noise is not merely auditory. It is a psychic pressure, a constant bombardment on the shores of your consciousness. It is the endless scroll of curated perfection, a parade of lives that seem richer, more beautiful, more successful than your own. It is the noise of comparison, a subtle poison that whispers you are behind, you are lacking, you are not enough. It is the blare of expectation, the trumpet call of a society that tells you what you should be by 30, what you should own by 40, what your life should look like for it to be considered valid. It is the voice of your parents, your teachers, your peers, all well-intentioned, yet all adding another layer of sound, another brick in the wall that separates you from your own truth. It is the siren song of consumerism, the slick, persuasive hum that insists your inner emptiness can be filled by something external, a new car, a bigger house, a more exotic vacation. It creates a thirst that can never be quenched, because it is designed to be unquenchable. And beneath it all, the most insidious noise of all is the low, constant drumbeat of fear, broadcast 24 hours a day. The news of distant crises, the manufactured outrage, the division, the endless parade of things to worry about, all designed to keep your nervous system in a state of high alert, making true peace feel like a distant and irresponsible fantasy. For years, you have lived within this storm, and you learned to adapt. You learned to turn up the volume on your own life to compete with it. You became a part of the noise. The human spirit has a deep, primal need to belong, to be part of the tribe. And the tribe is noisy. So you tuned your instrument to match its key. You learned its songs of ambition and anxiety. You danced its frantic dance of doing, achieving, and proving. And for a while it worked, but a weariness has set in, a soul-level fatigue that no amount of sleep can cure. It is the exhaustion of the actor who has been on stage for too long, who can no longer remember what his own face feels like beneath the mask. There is a part of you, the part that has now touched the silent ember, that is desperate to stop the performance. It yearns for authenticity, for the simple, unadorned truth of your own being. It longs to hear its own music, even if it is just a single, quiet note against the world's deafening orchestra. Here lies the conflict, the pull of the familiar, the safety of the crowd, the fear of being left behind, versus the undeniable, soul-deep craving for peace, for silence, for truth. The world screams, but your soul whispers. And you have been conditioned your entire life to believe that volume equals importance, that the loudest voice in the room is the one that holds the truth. This is the great deception. You must understand this now. With every fiber of your being, your inner world is a sovereign space. You are the gatekeeper. You have the authority and the responsibility to decide what you allow to enter. You must consciously, deliberately turn down the volume of the world. Your truth is not determined by a committee. It is not up for a popular vote. It does not need to be validated by likes or shares or external approval. Your truth is a quiet resonance, a feeling of yes that reverberates from the core of you. It is a melody that can only be heard when you have the courage to turn your back on the chaos. Imagine yourself standing in the middle of a vast, crowded, medieval marketplace. Everyone is shouting, haggling, laughing, arguing. The noise is a physical force, but far away at the edge of the city walls, a lone musician begins to play a flute. To hear that melody, you cannot simply try to listen harder. You cannot outshout the market. The only way is to physically turn around, to walk away from the throng, to find a quiet alleyway, and to still your own body and mind, orienting your entire being toward that faint, beautiful sound. This is the work that is now required of you. You must become the one who walks away from the market. This calls for a new kind of practice, a conscious act of rebellion against the age of information overload, the practice of information fasting. Choose one day a week, or even just half a day to start, and declare it a sacred fast. No social media, no news websites, no podcasts, no television. Disconnect your mind from the global network of manufactured urgency. At first, this will feel deeply uncomfortable. You will feel an itch, a phantom limb syndrome, your hand reaching for a device that isn't there. This is the withdrawal from the addiction to external stimulus. Breathe through it. Observe the mind's craving for its usual fix. And then, intentionally, replace the noise with nourishment. Go for a walk without headphones. Listen to the sound of the wind in the trees, the rhythm of your own footsteps on the earth. Pick up a book of poetry or philosophy, words chosen not for information, but for wisdom. Sit in a park and simply watch the world go by without commentary or judgment. Listen to the sounds of your own home, the hum of the refrigerator, the creak of the floorboards. These are the sounds of your actual life, the life that is happening right here, right now, beyond the digital haze. This practice is not an act of ignorance. It is an act of profound intelligence. It is a deliberate detoxification of the psyche. You are flushing out the noise so you can hear the signal. You are creating the inner quiet necessary for the whisper of the soul to become audible. As you do this, you will notice a shift. The world's priorities will begin to seem strange, its frantic pace absurd. The things that once seemed so important will lose their power over you. Your nervous system will begin to heal. The quiet confidence of the inner ember will grow stronger. You are claiming your attention back, and your attention is the currency of your life. Where you place your attention is what you feed. Stop feeding the chaos, start feeding your soul. But be prepared. As the external noise recedes, you will be confronted with a new reality. The silence you have created will be filled by another sound. One that was always there, but was drowned out by the world's cacophony. It is the noise of your own mind, the ingrained patterns of thought, the habitual worries, the inner critic, the restless ghosts of your past. You have cleared the outer courtyard of the temple, only to find the inner sanctum is filled with restless monkeys. Do not be discouraged. This is not a failure. This is the next necessary step of the journey. You have earned the right to face yourself directly, without the world's distractions as an excuse. You are ready to move from the external noise to the internal storm. You have turned down the volume of the world, only to be deafened by the roar within. You sought sanctuary and found a storm. There might be a sense of despair in this, a feeling that you have failed, that peace is impossible, but this is not a failure. This is the necessary unveiling. You have simply stopped distracting yourself from the weather pattern that has been raging inside you for years. This is the nature of the unobserved mind. It is a storm-generating machine. It is a ghost that haunts the present with the specters of the past and the phantoms of the future. It is a tempest of ceaseless motion, and for your entire life, you have believed that you are a small, helpless boat being tossed on its waves. Even worse, you have believed that you are the storm itself. Let us look at the anatomy of this storm. It has powerful, chaotic winds. These are the winds of the past, gusts of regret that blow through you, making you relive every mistake, every awkward word, every missed opportunity. They are chilling drafts of old hurts, replaying scenes of betrayal or loss until the original pain feels fresh and raw again. The storm has a thick, disorienting fog. This is the fog of the future, a rolling bank of anxiety that obscures the path ahead. It whispers endless questions, the paralyzing litany of what if I fail, what if they leave me, what if I get sick, what if I make the wrong choice. The mind projects 1,000 possible futures, and almost all of them are catastrophic, because the mind believes its job is to protect you by imagining the worst. And the storm has violent, unpredictable lightning. These are the flashes of judgment, bolts of criticism directed at yourself for not being better, smarter, stronger, and flashes of judgment directed at others, illuminating all their perceived flaws and failings. This storm is your constant companion. It is the soundtrack to your life, so persistent that you have mistaken it for silence. You believe this is simply what it feels like to be you. And so, you have spent a lifetime at war with your own mind. You have tried to control the storm. You have practiced positive thinking, which is often little more than shouting cheerful slogans into a hurricane. You have tried to suppress negative thoughts, which is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The harder you push it down, the more forcefully it erupts to the surface, often at the most inopportune moment. You have tried to argue with your anxious thoughts, engaging in long, exhausting debates with the voices in your head, a battle of wits that you can never win because you are supplying the arguments for both sides. This war is the source of all neurosis, the root of immense and unnecessary suffering. It is a war founded on a case of mistaken identity. You have been fighting a storm, believing it is you. You are trying to defeat yourself. Now, I want you to consider a new possibility. A truth so simple and so profound that it can end the war in an instant. You are not the storm. You are not the clouds, nor the wind, nor the rain, nor the lightning. You are the sky. Breathe that in. Feel the shift that this one idea creates in your being. The storm is what happens. The sky is where it happens. The clouds, no matter how dark, how dense, how menacing, are temporary events passing through the vast, open, limitless expanse of the sky. The sky does not fight the clouds. It does not try to push them away. It does not cling to the pretty, white, fluffy ones. It does not fear the dark, angry thunderheads. It simply allows them to be. It holds them without judgment in its infinite embrace, knowing that they are not it. The sky's nature is peace. The sky's nature is stillness. The sky's nature is a brilliant, clear, untroubled blue that is always present, even when it is completely obscured by clouds. The storm can rage for hours, for days, but it cannot stain the sky. It cannot scar the sky. It cannot in any way alter the fundamental nature of the sky. Eventually, the storm passes. The clouds dissipate, and the sky is still there, just as it always was, vast and silent and serene. This is your true nature. You are the sky. Your thoughts, your emotions, your moods, your sensations, they are the clouds. They are the weather of your life. They are not you. To realize this is to be free. The goal is not to create a life with no storms. Storms will come. The goal is to remember your identity as the sky while the storm rages. To find that unshakable, peaceful vantage point from which you can watch the weather of your mind without being swept away by it. This understanding must move from an intellectual concept to a lived experience. And for that, we have a practice. We will call it the Sky Meditation. Find your seat. Let your body be still. Close your eyes. And for a moment, simply bring your awareness to your inner space. Now, imagine that your consciousness, the very awareness that is hearing these words, is a vast, open, endless sky. Feel its boundless quality, its silence, its peace. Now, as thoughts or feelings arise, you will simply label them as clouds. A worry about a bill that is due. See it as a small gray cloud drifting from left to right. A sudden memory of a happy moment. See it as a bright, sunlit cloud. A surge of irritation or anger. See it as a dark, heavy thunderhead, rumbling as it passes. Do not get involved with the cloud. Do not analyze its contents or follow its story. Your only task is to remain as the sky and to witness the cloud's passage. Simply notice it and say to yourself, "Ah, a cloud of worry, a cloud of planning, a cloud of sadness." You are not trying to get rid of the clouds. You are cultivating a new relationship with them. The relationship of the sky to the cloud. You are practicing the art of disidentification. You are creating space. When you first begin, you will constantly forget. You will find yourself lost in a cloud, swept up in its drama, believing you are the storm once more. This is not a problem. The moment you realize this has happened, you are already free. In that moment of realization, you are the sky again, noticing a cloud. Simply, gently, without any self-criticism, return to your vantage point as the sky. Each time you do this, you are strengthening a spiritual muscle. You are rewiring your brain to a new default, the default of presence, of awareness, of being the silent watcher. Practice this, and your life will begin to change in profound ways. The thoughts and emotions that once tormented you will lose their power. You will see them for what they are, impersonal, transient energies passing through your field of awareness. You will find a deep and abiding peace that exists beneath the surface-level turmoil of your mind. This peace is not dependent on your life being perfect. It is the peace of the sky, which is present even in the midst of the most violent hurricane. This realization, this deep knowing that you are the vast, accepting sky, is the foundation for all true inner work. It gives you the stability and the compassion needed to face anything, because now you have the courage to look at even the darkest, most terrifying clouds you have been running from your entire life. You are ready to face the monsters you have hidden in the basement of your psyche. You are ready to face your shadow. You have stood as the sky, vast and untouched, and watched the storms of your own mind pass through. A profound peace can arise from this realization. But with it comes a subtle danger, the danger of passivity, the danger of waiting for the next great spiritual insight, the next cosmic revelation, the next lightning bolt of enlightenment to strike you. Our modern consciousness is addicted to the spectacular. We want the spiritual fireworks show. We crave the mountaintop experience, the dramatic, life-altering vision. And we have come to devalue the sacred, unglamorous, and deeply powerful path of small things. We want the harvest, but we have forgotten how to love the humble act of tilling the soil. The fire of the soul, that ember you have rediscovered in the void, is not sustained by occasional, explosive bursts of inspiration. It is tended by the quiet rhythm of devotion, the steady beat of discipline. Let us be honest about the nature of our ambition. When inspiration strikes, it feels like a wildfire. We make grand declarations. Starting tomorrow, my life will be completely different. I will meditate for an hour. I will exercise. I will eat perfectly. I will be kind and patient. I will write my masterpiece. This is the voice of the ego, co-opting the spiritual journey for its own aggrandizement. It loves grand gestures. It thrives on the drama of transformation. But this wildfire of inspiration often burns out as quickly as it began, leaving behind a field of ash and the bitter taste of self-disappointment. It creates a cycle of enthusiasm and collapse, a pattern that reinforces the belief that you are incapable of true change. And then another voice emerges, the insidious whisper of procrastination disguised as wisdom. I'm not feeling inspired right now. The timing isn't right. I should wait until I have more energy. This is a lie. You are not waiting for inspiration. You are waiting for a feeling. You are making your commitment to yourself conditional on your mood. This is to give the weather, the passing clouds, power over the sky. True power lies in a different approach. It is the way of the fire keeper. Imagine a lone figure in a vast, snow-covered wilderness. The night is deep, and the cold is a predator. In the center of a small clearing is a circle of stones, and within it, a bed of glowing embers. This is the only source of light and warmth for miles. The firekeeper's task is not dramatic. He does not need to throw a giant log onto the fire every few hours. His work is more subtle, more constant. He sits by the fire, attentive. He watches the glow. When it dims, he does not panic. He simply reaches for a small, dry twig and gently places it on the embers. Then he leans down and blows, a soft, steady, controlled breath. The embers brighten. He adds another twig, and another. His work is repetitive. It is monotonous. It is not exciting. But it is the most important work in the world. It is a sacred trust. He knows that the fire's life depends not on grand gestures, but on this small, consistent, unwavering attention. You must become the keeper of your own fire. Your discipline is the collection of dry twigs. Your daily commitment is the gentle, steady breath. The grand, inspirational log may never come, but with enough small twigs offered consistently, you can build a blazing fire that will warm you through the longest winter night. This requires a radical shift in your values. You must learn to honor the small. You must come to see the profound power hidden in the mundane. The universe does not reward the magnitude of your actions. It rewards the consistency of your intention. A promise kept to yourself, no matter how small, is a sacred act. It is a declaration to your own soul that you are worthy of your own commitment. So let us make this practical. Let us begin the discipline of small acts. I want you to choose one thing, not 3, not 5, just one. The ego will immediately tell you this is not enough. It will say, just one? That's pathetic. That won't make a difference. Ignore that voice. The power is not in the what, but in the doing. It is in the unbroken chain of commitment. The task itself should be almost laughably simple. So simple that you have no excuse not to do it. Perhaps it is the act of making your bed the moment you get out of it. Perhaps it is drinking 1 glass of water before you allow yourself your morning coffee. Perhaps it is writing down one single thing you are grateful for before you go to sleep, or reading just 5 pages of a book. Choose your one small thing now. The victory is not in having a made bed. The victory is not in being hydrated. The victory is in the moment you stand before the choice, when the voice of laziness or rebellion says, not today, and you do it anyway. In that moment, you are rewiring the very foundation of your being. For years, you have broken countless promises to yourself. You have told yourself you would start tomorrow, and tomorrow never came. Each broken promise was a small act of betrayal, a signal to your subconscious that your word is not bond. It created a deep rift in your self-trust and self-respect, and self-respect is the wood that the fire of the soul consumes. Without it, the flame dwindles. By keeping this one tiny promise to yourself each day, you begin to heal that rift. You are weaving your integrity back together, one thread at a time. Each day you keep the promise. You are telling your subconscious, I am trustworthy. I show up for myself. My word has meaning. This is an act of profound self-love. It builds a foundation of inner strength that is more real and more resilient than any fleeting emotion of inspiration. Do this for a month. Do not add anything else. Just perform your one simple chosen act every single day. Be the firekeeper. Patiently add your one small twig. Do not look for immediate results. Do not expect your life to be transformed overnight. This is not about the firework. It is about the ember. You are tending the ember. You are building a quiet, unshakable confidence in your ability to follow through. You are forging character, and character is the bedrock of a spiritual life. Inspiration is a visitor. Discipline is your home. This steady practice creates a new kind of inner structure. It is a container. Before, your spiritual intentions were like water poured onto the sand, disappearing instantly. Now, through the discipline of small acts, you are slowly, patiently, firing the clay of your being into a solid vessel. You are building a forge within yourself, a place of strength, of integrity, of heat. And it is this forge that gives you the capacity to handle more difficult materials. You have proven to yourself that you are no longer a passive victim of your moods and impulses. You are a conscious creator, a disciplined keeper of the flame. And with this newfound strength, you are now ready to do the work of the master blacksmith. You are ready to take the raw, twisted, difficult ore of your own being, the parts of yourself you have hidden away in the dark, and place them into the heart of the fire. You are ready to work with your shadow. You have built the forge. Through the quiet constancy of small, deliberate acts, you have created a foundation of integrity and self-respect. You have proven to yourself that you are the keeper of the flame, not a passive victim of your own whims. This foundation was not built for its own sake. It was built to hold the heat of true transformation. It is time now to do the work of the blacksmith. It is time to work with the most difficult, most powerful, and most misunderstood material you possess. It is time to face your shadow. In the bright, clean, well-lit rooms of your conscious mind, you have curated an identity. It is the person you present to the world, the person you believe you should be. It is polite, reasonable, kind, and spiritual. But in the basement of your psyche, in the dark, forgotten corners, live all the parts of yourself that you deemed unacceptable. This is your shadow. It is the repository for every impulse, every desire, every trait that was shamed, punished, or denied in you as you grew up. It is your rage, your envy, your greed, your laziness, your vulnerability, your primal sexuality, your secret arrogance. It is everything you have decided is not me. We live in a culture that preaches a gospel of relentless positivity, a tyranny of light that casts a very dark shadow. We are taught to suppress, to deny, to disown these aspects of ourselves. We push them down into the darkness, lock the door, and pretend they don't exist. But they do exist. The shadow does not disappear when it is ignored. It festers. It gathers strength in the dark. The energy you expend every day to keep that basement door locked is immense. It is the exhaustion you feel after a day of polite smiles when all you wanted to do was scream. It is the tension in your jaw, the ache in your shoulders, and the shadow always finds a way out. It leaks. It projects. You suddenly find yourself irrationally irritated by another person's arrogance because you have denied your own. You become sanctimonious and judgmental about another's perceived laziness because you cannot accept your own need for rest. The world becomes a mirror for the parts of yourself you refuse to own, and you spend your life trying to smash the mirror instead of looking at your own reflection. Or, when the pressure becomes too great, the shadow erupts. It is the sudden, inexplicable outburst of rage, the act of self-sabotage that destroys your progress, the cynical remark that wounds someone you love. This is the shadow, starved of conscious light, breaking free to wreak havoc. The great, tragic mistake is to believe the shadow is your enemy, to believe it is something evil that must be vanquished, cut out, or destroyed. This is the path of self-mutilation, and it is a war that can never be won. The shadow is not evil. It is simply unconscious. It is your own life force, your own raw power that has been repressed and distorted. It is pure energy. Your task is not to kill the dragon, but to tame it, to harness its fire. Your task is to turn your enemy into your most powerful ally. This is the sacred work of integration. This is the alchemy that turns lead into gold. Return to the image of the forge. You are the blacksmith, and a prospector has just brought you a lump of raw, unrefined iron ore. It is dark, heavy, misshapen, and seemingly worthless. This is your shadow. The inexperienced blacksmith would discard it, seeking only polished steel. But the master knows this raw ore is where the real potential lies. He does not hate it for its crudeness. He does not judge it for its impurity. He sees its potential. With reverence, he takes the ore with his tongs and places it directly into the heart of the fire you have so diligently tended. The fire is your conscious, loving, non-judgmental awareness. You bring your shadow aspect, your jealousy, your anger into this warm, accepting light. You don't act it out. You don't repress it. You simply hold it in your awareness. You look at it. You feel it in your body. This is the heating process. Then, the master blacksmith places the glowing ore on the anvil and picks up his hammer. This is the next stage of the work. The hammer is conscious inquiry. It is courageously facing the shadow and asking it questions. This is where a practice like shadow journaling becomes your hammer. When a strong negative emotion is triggered in you, do not run from it. Find a quiet space, take your journal, and give the shadow a voice. Let the angry part of you write, uncensored. Let it swear, let it rage, let it be unreasonable. Let the envious part of you describe in detail what it covets and why. Let the fearful part of you articulate its deepest terrors. You are not your thoughts. You are the sky that holds them. The page is the anvil, strong enough to take the blows. You hammer the shadow with questions. What are you trying to protect me from? What unmet need are you screaming about? Where did I first learn that you were unacceptable? You are not fighting it. You are engaging with it. You are listening to it for the first time. As you do this work, something magical begins to happen. The raw ore begins to change shape. The impurities burn away in the heat of your awareness. The energy trapped within the shadow is released and purified. Your rage, once a destructive force, is forged into a sharp sword of passion for justice and the courage to set boundaries. Your fear, once paralyzing, is transformed into the shield of prudence and the gift of intuition. Your envy, once a poison, becomes a compass, pointing you directly toward your soul's deepest desires. Your laziness is revealed to be a profound need for rest and being, a counterbalance to the world's frantic doing. You have not destroyed the shadow, you have integrated it. You have taken its raw, chaotic energy and given it conscious form and purpose. You have taken the lump of iron and forged a tool that you can use in your life. This is the path to wholeness. A holy person is not a person who has no darkness. A holy person is a person who has embraced their darkness, who has brought it into the light of their own love, and has become whole. It is the end of hypocrisy. It is the end of the exhausting pretense. You become authentically, powerfully, yourself. You are no longer at war. All of your energy, which was once tied up in repression and inner conflict, is now available to you. The fuel for your inner fire is no longer just the light, dry kindling of your good qualities. You have learned to burn the dense, heavy, long-burning logs of your integrated shadow. Your fire now burns with a new kind of power, a deep, earthy, authentic heat. It is the fire of a real human being, not an idealized saint. This inner unification creates a profound shift in your very being. When you are whole, your energy field, your personal vibration, becomes coherent and strong. It is no longer a fractured signal, pulled in 1,000 different directions by inner conflict. It is a clear, powerful broadcast from the center of your integrated self. You begin to resonate with the world in a new way. You have faced the darkness within, and now you are ready to explore how the light of your unified soul interacts with the very fabric of the universe. You stand now in a new integrity. The war within has ceased. You have brought the disowned parts of yourself out from the basement and into the warm, accepting light of your own awareness. You are no longer a house divided against itself. Your inner fire, which was once scattered and conflicted, now burns with a unified, coherent flame. And a coherent flame has a very different relationship with the world. It begins to resonate. Everything in existence, from the chair you are sitting on, to the thoughts in your head, to the most distant star, is energy. And all energy vibrates at a particular frequency. This is not a mystical belief. It is the bedrock of modern physics. Your state of being is a frequency. It is your energetic signature, the signal you are constantly broadcasting into the quantum field of infinite possibility. For most of your life, this signal has been chaotic. It was a jumble of conflicting frequencies. A part of you broadcasted a desire for love, while another part, hidden in the shadow, broadcasted a deep-seated fear of intimacy. A part of you broadcasted an intention for abundance, while another broadcasted a core belief in your own unworthiness and the world's scarcity. The universe, receiving this garbled, contradictory signal, could only reflect that same chaos back to you in the form of confusing, inconsistent, and often frustrating life experiences. But through the work you have done, by tending the embers, by becoming the sky, and by integrating your shadow, your signal is becoming clear. Your energy is becoming coherent. You are beginning to broadcast a single, clear, powerful note from the core of your unified self. This is where the true creative power of your consciousness begins to reveal itself. The universe does not respond to the words of your affirmations or the pictures on your vision board. These are merely tools. The universe responds to the vibrational truth of who you are in this moment. It does not give you what you want, it gives you what you are. It is a mirror, reflecting with perfect impersonal accuracy the frequency you embody. A low vibrational state, such as fear, shame, or despair, feels contracted, heavy, and cold. When you are broadcasting this frequency, you are tuned to a reality where you perceive only evidence to support that state. You notice the problems, the dangers, the slights, the lack. The world appears to be a hostile and threatening place. A high vibrational state, such as love, gratitude, or joy, feels expansive, light, and warm. When you embody this frequency, you are tuned to a different reality. You begin to notice the beauty, the synchronicities, the kindness of strangers, the opportunities. The world appears to be a benevolent and supportive place. It is the same world, but you are experiencing it through a different resonant filter. Your rational mind will fight this concept. It will call it magical thinking, a denial of the hard facts of reality. The ego, which thrives on being a victim of circumstance, will scream that this is naive and dangerous. It will point to all the evidence of suffering and injustice and demand to know how a feeling could possibly change that. This skepticism is a natural part of the process. It is the conflict between the limited, linear logic you were taught and the boundless, holographic wisdom your soul inherently knows. Think of your own life. Recall a day when you woke up feeling joyful and optimistic for no particular reason. Remember how the day seemed to flow, how traffic lights turned green, how you found the perfect parking spot, how people smiled at you. Now, recall a day when you woke up in a state of dread and anxiety. Remember how you stubbed your toe, spilled your coffee, got into an argument, how every interaction felt like a struggle. Were these just random coincidences? Or were you, through your state of being, resonating with and calling forth a particular layer of reality? You must move beyond believing and into knowing. You must become the scientist in the laboratory of your own life. The metaphor to hold is that of a campfire. A fire does not try to attract those who are cold. It does not send out requests for people to come and enjoy its warmth. It does not worry about whether it is warm enough. It simply focuses on its own nature, which is to burn. It is authentically and unapologetically itself, a source of light and heat, and by its very nature, by the powerful vibration of heat that it radiates, it changes its environment. It melts the frost on the ground around it, it pushes back the darkness, and it naturally, effortlessly draws to it any beings in the vicinity who are seeking warmth and light. Your work is to be the fire. Your work is to tend to the quality of your own burning, the frequency of your own soul. Stop chasing the outcomes you desire. Stop trying to attract people or opportunities. That is the energy of neediness and lack. Instead, focus entirely on the inner state. Focus on generating the feeling of warmth within yourself, and trust that those who resonate with that warmth will naturally be drawn into your orbit. This calls for a practice of conscious energy management. We will call it vibrational tuning. Every morning, before you plug your consciousness into the world, you must first tune your own instrument. Before you check your phone, before you read the news, before you engage with the low-frequency vibrations of the world's anxiety, take 5 minutes for yourself. Sit quietly, and instead of thinking about what you want, decide how you want to feel. If you desire love, do not think about finding a partner. Instead, generate the feeling of love itself within your body. Remember a time you felt pure, unconditional love, perhaps for a pet, a child, or a moment in nature. Recreate that physical sensation in your chest now. Let it expand. If you desire abundance, do not think about money. Instead, generate the feeling of gratitude. Feel the deep, soul-level appreciation for the air in your lungs, for the chair that is supporting you, for the simple fact of your own existence. Let this feeling of gratitude saturate every cell in your body. You are not pretending. You are not engaging in wishful thinking. You are performing a deliberate act of energetic creation. You are choosing your frequency rather than letting the world choose it for you. You are setting your vibrational thermostat for the day. As you practice this, you will quickly discover the parts of you that are still broadcasting a different signal. You may try to generate the feeling of peace and immediately feel a knot of anxiety in your stomach. You may try to feel abundance and notice a tightness of fear in your solar plexus. This is valuable information. It is showing you where you are still clinging to old, dense energies. You cannot tune a radio to a clear, beautiful classical station if it is still locked onto the static of a low-frequency broadcast. To stabilize your being at a higher vibration, you must learn to consciously release the lower ones. This is not a struggle. It is not a fight. It is an act of release, an act of letting go. It is the profound spiritual art of surrender. The word surrender is one of the most misunderstood and maligned in our language. To the ego, it is the ultimate failure. It is the white flag waved over a lost battle. It means defeat, weakness, resignation. It is the end of the fight. We are taught to never give up, to fight to the last breath, to control our destiny through sheer force of will. But you are beginning to understand a different kind of power. A power that is not based on fighting, but on flow. You have felt the dense knots of old energy within you, the stubborn frequencies of fear and lack that jam your signal. You have discovered that you cannot fight these knots into submission. You cannot think them away. The only way to dissolve them is to release your grip. The only way through is to surrender. But this is a new kind of surrender. It is not the limp, defeated posture of a victim. It is the fierce, powerful, and courageous surrender of the warrior of the spirit. Let us examine the source of our resistance. The ego, your conditioned mind, operates under one primary illusion: the illusion of control. It believes it is the chief executive officer of your life, and that through meticulous planning, constant worry, and relentless effort, it can manage every variable and guarantee a favorable outcome. It creates 5-year plans, endless to-do lists, and intricate mental flowcharts of how things are supposed to be. It lives in a state of perpetual anxiety because it knows, on some level, that its control is a complete fiction. It is like a man trying to command the tides or schedule the sunrise. The universe is too vast, too complex, too mysterious to be managed by the limited intellect of the human mind. The attempt to do so is the very definition of insanity. It is the source of all your stress. It is the root of your exhaustion. You are tired because you have been trying to do a job that was never yours to do. You have been trying to be God. The conflict, then, is between this frantic need for control and the quiet, persistent call of your soul to trust. The ego wants to swim upstream, fighting the current with all its might, convinced it knows a better, safer route. It thrashes and struggles, growing ever more tired, making little progress, and cursing the river for its resistance. The soul understands that the river knows the way. The soul whispers for you to simply turn over, to float, to allow the current to carry you towards a destination grander than your mind could ever conceive. Surrender is the moment you stop fighting the river. It is the moment you choose trust over terror. But this is not a passive act. It is not simply giving up and letting the current bash you against the rocks. This is an intensely active surrender. It is the surrender of a raging fire. Imagine a wildfire sweeping through a forest. The fire does not have a strategic plan. It does not have a map. It does not worry about which trees it will consume tomorrow or whether it is moving in the right direction. It does not surrender by going out. It surrenders by focusing every iota of its energy on one single task, burning as brightly, as hotly, as completely as it possibly can, right here, right now. Its surrender is to its own nature. It pours all of its power into the present moment. And in doing so, it aligns itself with a greater intelligence, the intelligence of the wind, the terrain, the humidity. It follows a path it could never have planned, becoming an unstoppable and magnificent force of nature. This is the model for your surrender. You must stop wasting your precious life force trying to control the direction of the wind. Instead, you must pour all of that reclaimed energy into the quality of your own burning. You surrender control over the outcome, but you take absolute, radical responsibility for the quality of your energy in this moment. You burn brightly, now. You love fully, now. You are completely present, now. and you trust with a fierce and unshakable faith that a fire of that intensity will create its own path, that it will light the way, one step at a time. This requires a tool to help you release the ego's death grip. We will call this practice the open hand. It is a somatic ritual to move the idea of surrender from your head into the wisdom of your body. The next time you feel yourself caught in a loop of anxiety, worrying about a problem, trying to force a solution, I want you to stop, close your eyes, and bring to mind the specific issue you are trying to control. Now, make a fist with your dominant hand. Clench it tightly. As you squeeze, I want you to pour all of the anxiety, all the fear, all the desperate need to control into that fist. Feel the tension. Feel the strain in your fingers, your wrist, your forearm. This clenched fist is the physical embodiment of the ego's resistance. It is what you have been doing to your own soul. Now, take a slow, deep breath. And as you exhale, very, very slowly, begin to open your hand. Finger by finger, feel the release of tension. As your palm opens fully, visualize that you are placing the entire problem, the ball of anxious energy, into the open hand of a higher intelligence, into the loving embrace of the universe itself. You are handing it over. As your hand lies open, relaxed and receptive, repeat this mantra, either silently or aloud. I do my best, and I release the rest. Let's break that down. I do my best. This is your sacred commitment. It affirms that you will take responsibility for what is yours to control. Your actions, your attitude, your integrity, the quality of your inner fire. You are not a passive bystander. And I release the rest. This is the great liberation. It is the acknowledgement that the outcome, the timing, the how of it all belongs to a wisdom far greater than your own. You are letting go of the need to manage the universe. You are entering into a sacred partnership. Do your part and allow the universe to do its. Practice this. Do it 10 times a day if you must. Each time you unclench your fist, you are retraining your nervous system. You are choosing trust over fear. You are choosing flow over resistance. A profound peace will begin to enter your life. You will feel a weight lift from your shoulders, the weight of a burden you were never meant to carry. And something miraculous happens when you stop obsessing over the destination. You become fully available to the journey. Your attention is no longer scattered into 1,000 possible futures. It is concentrated, like a laser, into the power of the present moment. Your senses come alive, your intuition sharpens, and with your energy no longer wasted on fighting the river, you can finally feel its subtle guidance. You can distinguish between an action that arises from the ego's anxiety and an action that arises from the soul's quiet inspiration. You have surrendered control, and in doing so, you have gained access to true guidance. You are ready to enter the forge, not to hammer your will upon the world, but to allow the world to show you what must be forged through you. You have laid down the heavy burden of control. You have opened your hand to the universe and declared your trust in a wisdom greater than your own. You are floating in the river of life, no longer fighting its current. And in this state of surrender, a question naturally arises. So what now? Do I do nothing? Do I simply wait for life to happen to me? This is a crucial turning point, for surrender is not the end of action. It is the end of anxious action. It is the beginning of a new way of engaging with the world, a way that is infinitely more powerful, effective, and graceful. It is the movement from frantic doing to inspired being. It is the discovery of action that is forged in the fire of stillness. Our world worships at the altar of busy. We have been conditioned to believe that our worth is directly proportional to our level of activity. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. We fill every moment with tasks, with plans, with motion, because we are terrified of the alternative. We are terrified of stillness, because in stillness, we might have to feel what we have been running from. And so, we engage in busy action. Busy action is born of anxiety. It is the frantic energy that says, I have to do something, anything, to fix this feeling of unease. It is sending an email you are not ready to send. It is making a decision before you have all the information. It is starting a project from a place of panic rather than passion. Busy action is scattered, inefficient, and deeply draining. It is the energy of pushing a boulder uphill. It is a war against circumstance, and it always leaves you depleted, regardless of the outcome. The internal conflict is immense. There is a deep societal guilt associated with rest, with waiting, with non-action. The mind, the ego, will scream at you that you are lazy, that you are falling behind, that opportunities are passing you by. It will present you with catastrophic scenarios that can only be averted by immediate, frantic motion. To resist this inner tyrant, to choose to wait, to be still until true guidance arises, requires a new kind of courage. It is the courage to be misunderstood, the courage to appear unproductive to a world obsessed with productivity. It is the conflict between the ego's desperate need to appear in control and the soul's quiet confidence in divine timing. The truth is that the most powerful actions in your life will not come from a pro and con list or a strategic brainstorming session. They will arise from a place of deep inner stillness. They will feel less like a choice you have made and more like a current you are allowing to move through you. This is inspired action. It has a completely different texture, a different energetic signature from busy action. Busy action feels like a contraction. It is tight, forced, and rooted in fear. Inspired action feels like an expansion. It is open, flowing, and rooted in a sense of rightness, even if the action itself is challenging or frightening. It doesn't deplete you, it energizes you. It is the difference between forcing a key into the wrong lock and feeling the satisfying click as the right key turns with ease. Let us return to the forge. You, the blacksmith, have learned to surrender, to trust the fire. You place the raw iron of a problem or a situation into the glowing embers of your silent awareness. You do not set a timer. You do not impose a deadline. You simply allow the situation to be heated by your presence. The ego will keep wanting to pull it out and start hammering. Is it ready yet? How about now? But the master blacksmith, the soul, waits. It watches. It knows that to strike too early, when the iron is still black and hard, is a waste of energy. The hammer will bounce off, and the iron will not change. To strike too late, when the iron has become white-hot and liquid, is to lose the opportunity entirely. The iron will lose its form. There is a perfect moment. A moment when the iron glows a brilliant, luminous red-orange. This is the moment of readiness. At that precise moment, the blacksmith takes the iron to the anvil and strikes. And the metal yields, it flows, it takes the shape he desires with grace and power. Your life is this forge. Your stillness is the fire. Your actions are the hammer. Your life circumstances are the iron. To learn to act from inspiration is to learn the art of timing. It is to develop the inner sensitivity to know when the iron is red hot. This is not a mental process. It is a felt sense. It is the wisdom of the body, the intuition of the soul. This is why we must cultivate a practice for discerning the difference. This is the inner stillness check. Before you make a significant decision, before you take an important action, especially one that feels charged with emotion, you must pause. Stop everything. Close your eyes. Take 3 slow, conscious breaths, bringing your awareness out of the chaotic thoughts in your head and down into the center of your body, your chest and your belly. Once you have found a measure of stillness, hold the potential action in your mind. Do not think about the pros and cons. Simply feel the idea of it. And ask your body, your inner wisdom, 2 simple questions. First, does this action arise from a place of peace or a place of panic? Be ruthlessly honest with yourself. Are you acting to relieve an anxiety, or are you acting from a place of calm certainty? Second, does the thought of this action create a feeling of expansion in my body, or a feeling of contraction? Does your chest feel more open, or does it feel tighter? Does your gut relax, or does it clench? Your body does not lie. The mind can rationalize anything, but the body holds the deeper truth. A feeling of peace and expansion is a yes. It is the signal that the iron is hot. The hammer will strike true. A feeling of panic and contraction is a no, or at least a not yet. The iron needs more time in the fire. To act now would be to fight yourself. Trust this inner guidance system above all else. It will never fail you. When the guidance is not yet, your only work is to return the situation to the fire of your patient, loving awareness, to surrender it again, and to wait. This waiting is not passive, it is an active, faithful, and deeply potent state. You are allowing a higher intelligence to arrange circumstances, to open doors, to clear the path in ways you could never have conceived. And when the guidance is a clear, expansive yes, you must act. Without hesitation, without second-guessing. This inspired action will have a power and an effectiveness that will astound you. You will feel as if the universe itself is acting through you. Things will fall into place. Synchronicities will abound. You will be in the flow. By living in this way, by consistently choosing inspired action over busy action, you build a profound and unshakable trust in yourself and in the benevolent nature of life. You learn that you are always guided, always supported. You exit the frantic battlefield of the ego and enter the graceful dance of the soul. This deep internal sense of being on the right path, of being held by a force greater than yourself, becomes your anchor. It becomes your sanctuary. And you will need this sanctuary, for this path of listening to your own unique inner guidance will inevitably, at times, lead you away from the noise of the crowd and into the sacred, challenging, and transformative landscape of solitude. You are learning to move in harmony with a current that is uniquely your own. You are listening to the whispers of inspired action, forged in the fire of your stillness. This is the path of integrity, the path of the soul. But this path has a price. It is a path that diverges from the common highway. It will lead you away from the crowd, and as you walk it, you may begin to experience a feeling that our culture fears above all others, the feeling of being alone. This can be a moment of great crisis or of profound liberation. It all depends on your understanding. You must now learn to distinguish between the poverty of loneliness and the riches of solitude. Loneliness is a state of lack. It is the painful ache of absence. It is the feeling of being a half circle, desperately seeking another half to make you whole. It is born from the belief that your well-being, your happiness, your very sense of self is dependent on the presence and approval of others. When you are lonely, you seek company as a distraction, as a way to fill the uncomfortable silence within yourself. You will lower your standards, betray your own values, and silence your own truth just to avoid the terror of being by yourself. Loneliness is a gaping wound, a void that you frantically try to fill with noise, with people, with anything to avoid facing the emptiness you feel inside. It is a state of need. Solitude, or aloneness, is something else entirely. It is not a lack, but a presence. It is the state of being so fully yourself that your own company is a source of nourishment and delight. Solitude is a choice. It is the deliberate act of withdrawing your energy from the external world to reinvest it in your inner world. It is not a void to be filled, but a vast, fascinating landscape to be explored. It is in solitude that you can finally hear your own thoughts without the echo of other people's opinions. It is in solitude that you can feel your own emotions without confusing them with the emotions of those around you. Solitude is not a state of need, but a state of sovereignty. It is the discovery that you are already whole. As your spiritual path deepens, you will be called into solitude. It is an unavoidable and necessary stage of the journey. The people in your life, even those you love dearly, may not understand the changes happening within you. They may see your newfound need for quiet as rejection. They may see your questioning of old values as a judgment upon their own. You may try to share the profound experiences you are having, the feeling of being the sky, the whisper of inspired action, only to be met with blank stares, polite dismissal, or even ridicule. This can be painful. It triggers our most primal fear, the fear of being cast out from the tribe. For our ancient ancestors, exile meant certain death. That fear is written into your very DNA. So when you choose the path of your soul over the approval of your social circle, you are performing an act of immense courage. You are choosing the integrity of your spirit over the primal comfort of belonging. The temptation will be to compromise, to dim your own light so as not to make others uncomfortable. Do not do it. Your flame does not require the permission of other flames to burn. Its nature is to shine. You must be willing to be misunderstood. You must be willing to walk a path that only you can see. This is where you must become the lighthouse. A lighthouse is not built in the center of a bustling harbor. It is built on the most remote, most treacherous, most solitary point of the coast. Its very purpose requires its solitude. It stands alone, battered by wind and waves, holding its light steady. It is not lonely, it is purposeful. Its solitude is not a weakness. It is the very source of its strength. It is from its solitary post that it can guide countless ships to safety. You too must embrace your own solitary rock. It is in the sacred space of aloneness, free from the winds of external validation and criticism, that your inner flame can grow tall, steady, and brilliant. And here, in the heart of solitude, a great paradox is revealed. When you are truly, deeply alone, you discover you are not alone at all. When all the external voices have faded, you begin to hear a deeper voice. When all the faces of others have disappeared, you finally meet your truest self. You connect with the vast, silent, loving presence that underlies all of existence. The presence you have been seeking in others has been waiting within you all along. The hole of loneliness was never a hole, but a covered well. In solitude, you have dug away the debris and discovered the inexhaustible spring of your own being. To transform your fear of loneliness into a love of solitude, you must practice it. You must actively court your own company. You must begin to date yourself. Take yourself out to a nice dinner. Put on clothes that make you feel good. Order what you want. And do not numb the experience by scrolling on your phone. Be present with yourself. Savor your food. Listen to the conversations around you. Eavesdrop on your own thoughts. Take yourself to a museum, to a concert, to the cinema. Go for a long walk in nature by yourself. Plan a solo trip, even if it is just for a single night. The purpose of these dates is not to endure being alone. It is to actively discover the joy of your own companionship. To learn that you are interesting, you are funny, you are wise. You are a wonderful person to spend time with. You must become your own best friend. You must learn to rely on yourself for comfort, for inspiration, for validation. You must become the primary source of love in your own life. When you have cultivated this rich inner world, when you genuinely enjoy your own company, your entire relationship to the external world is transformed. You cease to approach others as a beggar, holding out an empty bowl. You are no longer seeking someone to complete you, to save you from your loneliness. You are already full. Your flame is self-sustaining. Now, you can engage with others from a place of profound freedom and generosity. You connect with people not because you need them, but because you choose to. You share your light not to get something in return, but simply because it is overflowing. Your relationships are freed from the immense, crushing burden of making you happy. You have taken responsibility for your own happiness. And from this place of wholeness, you are finally ready to see relationships for what they truly are. Not a cure for loneliness, but a powerful, sacred opportunity for growth. You are ready to see every other person as a mirror. You have learned to stand alone, not in the cold abyss of loneliness, but in the sovereign kingdom of solitude. Your inner flame is now self-sustaining. It does not flicker in the winds of public opinion, nor does it dim in the absence of applause. You have become your own source, and from this place of profound fullness, you are now ready to re-engage with the world of others, not as a seeker of light, but as a sharer of it. You are ready to step into the bonfire of connection, and to understand the sacred and often misunderstood purpose of all relationships. The old model of relationships is one of lack. It is the model of two beggars, each holding an empty bowl, hoping the other has some bread. It is transactional. You give me security, I give you affection. You make me feel attractive, I make you feel important. We enter into these silent contracts, hoping to find in another person the things we have not yet cultivated in ourselves. This model is doomed to fail, for it places an impossible burden on another human being. The burden of completing you. No one can fill your emptiness. They can only distract you from it for a little while. Sooner or later, the contracts are broken, the expectations are unmet, and what follows is the predictable cycle of disappointment, blame, and conflict. You are now ready to discard this broken model and embrace a new one, a model based not on lack, but on growth. A model that understands the true purpose of relationship is not to find your other half, but to become more fully yourself. In this new understanding, every person who enters your life is a mirror. The universe, in its infinite compassion and efficiency, uses other people to show you to yourself. They do not create your feelings. They reveal the feelings that are already dormant within you. The world is not happening to you. It is responding from you. The people you meet are simply the most precise reflections of your own inner state. Consider the person who irritates you beyond reason. Their arrogance, their loudness, their laziness, it triggers something visceral in you. The old model would say, "They are wrong, and I am right to be annoyed." The mirror model asks, what part of my own shadow, what disowned arrogance or laziness is this person reflecting back at me? Or consider the person you deeply admire, the one you place on a pedestal. Their confidence, their creativity, their freedom, you are drawn to it like a moth to a flame. The old model would lead to worship or envy. The mirror model asks, what dormant potential, what sleeping confidence and creativity within myself is this person showing me as possible? And most importantly, consider the person who hurts you, the one whose words or actions trigger a deep, sharp pain of rejection, betrayal, or unworthiness. This is the most powerful mirror of all. The ego's immediate reflexive response is to blame. You hurt me. You did this to me. You are the cause of my pain. This is the voice of the victim, and it renders you powerless. It keeps you trapped in a cycle of resentment, waiting for an apology that may never come. The path of spiritual maturity demands a radical shift in perspective. It requires you to withdraw your energy from blame and to take absolute ownership of your own inner world. The empowered question is not, why did you do this to me? The empowered question is, thank you for showing me a wound that was already there. This person's words were the finger, but what is the pre-existing bruise they have just pressed upon? They did not shoot you with an arrow. They simply revealed an arrow that has been lodged in you for years, festering just beneath the surface. To see this is to reclaim your power. You can no longer be a victim if you understand that others can only trigger what is already inside you. Their role is simply to bring it to the surface so that it can finally be healed. Every encounter, from the brief exchange with a cashier to the most intimate lifelong partnership, is a dance of reflection. Imagine all of humanity gathered around a great central bonfire at night. The fire is the one source, the one consciousness, the one truth. We are all sitting in a circle around it. The single, unified light of the fire shines out and illuminates each person. But because every face is unique, with different contours, different scars, different expressions, the light reflects off each one in a unique way. The light that bounces off the person opposite you and shines onto your face is not their light. It is the fire's light reflected, and it illuminates your own landscape. It may highlight a part of you that you keep in shadow. It may catch a tear in your eye you were trying to hide. It may reveal a smile you didn't know was there. To be angry at that person for the reflection they cast is to fundamentally misunderstand the nature of light and reflection. Their face is simply revealing your own. Your work is not to demand they change their face, but to attend to the part of your own face that has just been revealed. This understanding requires a practice of self-inquiry. We will call it the mirror reflection. The next time you feel a strong emotional charge from an interaction, positive or negative, do not immediately react. Find a moment of stillness. Step back from the drama and become the observer. Acknowledge the feeling, wow, a powerful wave of anger is moving through me. Then ask the mirror questions. What specific quality in that person is acting as the trigger? Be precise. Is it their tone of voice, their perceived confidence, their victimhood? Next, do I recognize this quality in myself? Is it something I express openly, or something I have pushed into my shadow? And the deepest question, is this feeling familiar? When have I felt this precise emotional signature before? Follow the thread back in time. You will almost always find it leads you to an earlier wound, often in childhood. The current person is merely a stand-in, an actor playing a role that reopens that original wound. When you see this, the emotional charge you feel toward the current person dissolves. It is not about them. It was never about them. It was always about your own unhealed history. The final, most advanced step in this practice is gratitude. After you have traced the feeling to your own inner landscape, silently, in your heart, thank the person who was the trigger. Thank them for being the messenger. Thank them for being the precise mirror the universe sent to show you where you still need to heal. This act is profoundly transformative. It turns a perpetrator into a teacher. It turns a painful event into a gift of awareness. It turns resentment into fuel for your own liberation. This is not about condoning harmful behavior. It is about refusing to let that behavior define your inner state. You take what you need for your own growth, the reflection, and you release the rest. When you live this way, your relationships transform. They cease to be battlegrounds of competing needs and become sacred laboratories for self-discovery. You attract people who are also interested in this deeper dance, who are willing to be mirrors for you and to look into the mirror you provide for them. You gather around the bonfire not as beggars, but as fellow tenders of the flame, helping each other to see, to heal, and to shine more brightly. But this work, this willingness to look into the mirror with honesty, is impossible if the light you shine upon yourself is harsh and critical. To truly benefit from the reflection, you must first learn to look at yourself and at others with the gentle, warming light of compassion. You have begun to look into the mirror. In the faces and actions of others, you are starting to see the reflection of your own inner world, your hidden wounds, your dormant potentials. But when you look into a mirror and see a flaw, what is your first instinct? For most of us, it is a flinch of self-criticism, a harsh, internal voice that judges, shames, and condemns. To look into the mirror of relationship without this next essential quality is to turn a tool of liberation into an instrument of self-torture. You cannot do this work with a cold heart. The mirror must be illuminated by the gentle, persistent, and all-powerful warmth of compassion. The ego, in its desperate attempt to protect you from the pain of the world, has spent a lifetime constructing a suit of armor. It is a masterpiece of defense, forged from the metal of your past hurts. The breastplate is made of judgment, the rigid certainty of right and wrong, good and bad. It protects your heart by keeping everyone and everything at a safe distance, categorized and labeled. The helmet is the helmet of being right, a closed-off fortress of beliefs and opinions that deflects any challenging new information. It feels safe inside, but the view is terribly limited. And the gauntlets are the gauntlets of defensiveness, always ready with a sharp word, a witty comeback. a justification to parry any perceived attack. You have worn this armor for so long you have forgotten it is there. You mistake its weight for strength, its rigidity for stability. But it is a prison. It is heavy, it is isolating, and while it may protect you from some pain, it completely blocks you from experiencing true, authentic connection. Love cannot penetrate steel. There is a part of you, the ego, that would rather be right than be happy. It finds a cold, sterile satisfaction in winning an argument, in proving a point, in having the last word. It is a fleeting victory that reinforces the solitude of your armored prison. But your soul, your deeper self, yearns for something else. It does not care about being right. It yearns to be seen, to be understood, to connect. It craves the warmth of shared humanity. This is the inner conflict. The ego's addiction to the cold steel of righteousness versus the soul's deep need for the warmth of connection. One leads to a lonely throne, the other to the communal bonfire. To dissolve this armor, you cannot attack it. Judgment is a hammer, and if you strike a suit of armor with a hammer, you will only dent it, making it uglier and more uncomfortable. If you strike it hard enough, you may shatter it, but you will be left with 1,000 sharp, dangerous fragments of a broken self. The armor of the ego cannot be broken by force. It can only be melted. And the only flame hot enough and gentle enough to melt it is the flame of compassion. Compassion is not pity. Pity looks down from a place of superiority. Compassion is not weakness or permissiveness. It does not mean condoning harmful behavior in yourself or others. Compassion is a form of profound wisdom. It is the expansive, heart-centered understanding that every single being is operating from their current level of consciousness. They are doing the best they can with the tools they have and the pain they carry. The person who cut you off in traffic is not an evil villain. They are a soul lost in a storm of anxiety, perhaps late for a job they hate or rushing to a sick relative. The person who betrayed you was not acting from a place of strength and malice, but from a place of deep fear and unhealed wounding. And you, when you act from your own shadow, when you are sharp-tongued or selfish, are not a bad person. You are a wounded person, acting out of pain you have not yet learned how to heal. To see this is to change everything. It is to look upon the whole of humanity, yourself included, with a softened gaze. Imagine the ego's armor as a great, intricate statue of ice. It is hard, cold, and sharp-edged. You can spend your life chipping away at it with the ice pick of self-criticism, a futile and painful task. Or you can choose to build a warm, gentle fire nearby. This fire is compassion. You do not have to direct it at the ice. You simply have to tend to the fire. And its radiant warmth, its gentle, persistent presence, will begin to work its magic. The sharp edges will soften. The hard surfaces will begin to glisten. And slowly, drop by drop, the ice will melt, returning to its true, essential nature. The fluid, life-giving water of your authentic self. The fire does not destroy the statue. It liberates the water that was trapped within it. This practice must begin with others, as it is often easier to feel compassion for them than for ourselves. It is a practice to dissolve the habit of judgment. We will call it the practice of just like me. The next time you find yourself in a state of judgment, whether it is for a politician on the news, a difficult colleague, or a family member, I want you to pause. Stop the inner monologue of criticism, and silently, in your own heart, begin this recital. Just like me, this person has a body that feels pleasure and pain. Just like me, this person has people in their life that they love. Just like me, this person wants to be happy and free from suffering. Just like me, this person has known fear, has felt disappointment, has experienced sadness. Just like me, this person is learning how to live. Feel the truth of these statements. The ego will fight them. It will want to focus on the differences, on why your suffering is justified and theirs is not. Gently bring yourself back to the simple, shared truths of the human condition. Feel what happens in your body as you do this. A softening, a release of tension. The cold, sharp feeling of separation gives way to the warm, open feeling of connection. Now, you must turn this practice inward. This is the most crucial step of all. You must become the primary source of compassion in your own life. When you look in the mirror of relationship and see a flaw reflected, your first response must be to tend the fire of self-compassion. Instead of the hammer of criticism, you must meet your own reflection with the warmth of understanding. You must say to yourself, there is that old wound of unworthiness. It makes sense that I would feel this way given my past. It is okay. I am here with you now. You must learn to speak to yourself as you would a beloved friend who is suffering. This self-compassion is not an excuse for poor behavior. It is the very thing that gives you the safety and courage to change. You cannot heal a part of yourself that you hate. You can only heal what you are willing to hold in love. As you practice this, both for yourself and for others, the ice armor will continue to melt. Its dissolution is the process of spiritual maturation. But as it melts, you may feel a new sensation, a sense of being exposed, raw, unprotected. Without the familiar weight of your judgments and defenses, the world can feel intensely bright, almost painfully so. This feeling is vulnerability. The ego will scream that this is dangerous, that you must immediately reforge your armor. It will equate vulnerability with weakness. But you must now learn a deeper truth. The armor was the weakness. And this vulnerability, this tender, open-hearted state, is the gateway to your true, unshakable strength. The armor is melting. The gentle, persistent warmth of your own compassion has begun to dissolve the rigid defenses of the ego. The ice is returning to water, and you are left with a feeling that is both terrifying and exhilarating. You feel raw, exposed, open. You are feeling the tender skin of your true self, perhaps for the first time since you were a child. You are feeling vulnerable. Our culture will tell you that this is a state of extreme danger. It will equate vulnerability with weakness, with being a target, with being a victim. We are taught to admire the stoic, the unshakable, the one who is an island, who needs no one. We are taught to build walls and call them boundaries, to hide our hearts and call it strength. This is the final and most seductive lie of the ego. It tells you that to be invulnerable is to be safe. But the truth is that to be invulnerable is to be numb. To be invulnerable is to be utterly, completely alone. A fortress may be safe, but it is also a prison. Nothing can get in, but nothing can get out. The life you have been living, the life of the armored self, has been exhausting. It is the exhausting performance of pretending you have all the answers, the exhausting effort of concealing your fear and your uncertainty, the exhausting weight of never asking for help, of believing you must carry every burden by yourself. It is the loneliness of being known for your strength, but never for your softness. It is the quiet desperation of being admired, but never truly seen. Your soul is tired of this performance. It is tired of the mask. It craves authenticity more than it craves safety. It longs for the genuine connection that can only be born in a space of shared truth. This is the inner conflict that now presents itself. The ego's terror of being exposed, judged, and rejected versus the soul's deep, undeniable yearning to be seen, known, and loved for who you truly are, imperfections and all. You must now unlearn a lifetime of conditioning and embrace a radical new truth. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the purest expression of courage. It is the highest form of strength. True power is not found in the hardness of the armor, but in the softness of the open heart. Let us return to the fire. Where is the fire's greatest power? Is it in the flickering, cooler edges of the flame, or is it at its very core? The heart of the fire, the source of all its light and all its warmth, is a place of pure, incandescent, unprotected energy. It has no shell. It has no shield. It is utterly and completely exposed. Its vulnerability is its power. To be vulnerable is to choose to live from this authentic core. It is the courageous act of laying down your weapons, of taking off your mask in a world that tells you to stay hidden. It is the quiet, powerful statement that says, "This is me, here is my strength, and here is my fear. Here is my certainty, and here is my doubt. Here is my light, and here is my shadow. I will not hide any of it anymore." This is not a call for reckless self-disclosure or emotional dumping. It is a call for authenticity in your connections. It is the willingness to let another human being see your true self. For it is only when you allow yourself to be truly seen that you can experience the profound healing of being loved, not in spite of your imperfections, but with them. Vulnerability is the soil in which intimacy grows. It is the bridge that allows two souls to meet. When you are armored, you can only connect with another person's armor. It is a clanking, hollow, unsatisfying affair. When you are vulnerable, you invite the other person's soul to meet your soul. You create a space where their armor, too, might begin to feel heavy and unnecessary. This is a skill that must be practiced. The vulnerability muscle has atrophied from a lifetime of disuse. We must strengthen it with small, deliberate acts of courage. We will call this the practice of one act of vulnerability. You must start small, and you must start in a place that feels relatively safe. Choose a person in your life who has earned a measure of your trust, a dear friend, a loving partner, a therapist. Then, choose to take one small risk. Instead of the automatic, "I'm fine, how are you?" Perhaps you could try, "You know, I'm actually feeling a bit overwhelmed today." Instead of pretending to have an opinion on something you know little about, you could say, "I don't know enough about that to have a view. Could you explain it to me?" Instead of struggling with a task alone, you could ask for help. "I'm having trouble with this. Would you be willing to lend me a hand?" Notice what these small acts have in common. They are admissions of imperfection. They are exchanges of a false, armored strength for a real human connection. When you perform your one act of vulnerability, pay close attention to what happens. The catastrophe your ego predicted will almost certainly not occur. You will not be ridiculed. You will not be abandoned. In most cases, you will be met with the other person's own vulnerability. Your admission of being overwhelmed will be met with, "Me too. It's been a difficult week." Your request for help will be met with kindness. You will discover that the very things you thought would push people away are the things that draw them closer. Your authenticity gives them permission to be authentic. Your humanity awakens their humanity. Each time you do this, you are proving the ego's fears wrong. You are building evidence that the world is a safer place for your true self than you ever imagined. This is a tender process. Be gentle with yourself. There will be times you retreat back into your armor. That is okay. Simply notice it with compassion and try again tomorrow. You are learning to live without a skin you have worn your whole life. You are learning to breathe in a new atmosphere of truth. But as you live from this more open, more vulnerable place, you will notice the mind's old habits kicking into overdrive. The ego, feeling unprotected, will frantically try to control the past and the future. It will replay every old hurt, every past rejection. As a warning, see what happens when you're vulnerable, and it will spin endless future scenarios of potential pain, trying to strategize against every possible way you could be hurt again. To live in this open-hearted way without being consumed by the ghosts of the past and the phantoms of the future requires you to find an anchor. You must find a place where you are safe from the regrets of yesterday and the anxieties of tomorrow. There is only one such place, and that is the sacred, eternal, and all-powerful moment of now. You stand in the tender space of vulnerability. The armor is gone, and the world feels immediate and intense. In this new openness, the mind, in its ancient role as protector, begins to work overtime. It pulls you back into the past, replaying every moment of hurt, every instance where your vulnerability was punished, whispering, "See, it is not safe to be this open." Then, it flings you into the future, constructing 1,000 elaborate scenarios of potential pain, urging you to strategize, to plan, to build new walls to prevent ever being hurt again. This mental time travel, this obsessive dwelling in what was and what might be, is the ego's last-ditch effort to shield you from the raw, unpredictable intensity of life. But in doing so, it denies you the only place where life actually exists. It denies you the only place of true power, true safety, and true peace. It denies you the eternal moment of now. We live our lives almost entirely within the confines of psychological time. This is not the same as clock time, which is a useful tool for meeting a friend or boiling an egg. Psychological time is a disease of the mind. It is a phantom realm that we mistake for reality. The past does not exist. It happened, but its existence now is nothing more than a collection of neural traces, memories stored in your mind. When you are lost in regret, in guilt, in resentment, you are giving your life force, your precious attention, to a ghost. You are allowing a shadow to eclipse the sun of the present moment. You are suffering over something that is not happening. The future also does not exist. It is a mental projection, a fantasy. When you are lost in anxiety, in worry, in stress, you are wrestling with phantoms of your own creation. You are expending enormous energy trying to solve problems that do not yet exist and may never exist. Almost all human suffering, all guilt, all regret, all anxiety, all stress is born from this addiction to psychological time. The mind is a compulsive time traveler because the ego cannot survive in the present moment. The ego derives its identity from your past, your story, your successes, your failures, your wounds, and it derives its purpose from the future, your goals, your ambitions, your desperate search for salvation in some later achievement. The present moment, to the ego, is a threat. It is a brief, inconvenient bridge between the past it clings to and the future it craves. It constantly overlooks the now, treating it as a means to an end. I will be happy when I finish this project. I will relax once I get through this week. My life will really start after I achieve that goal. It is a promise of a future that never arrives, because when that future moment comes, it will arrive as a now, and the mind, by habit, will already be looking beyond it to the next future moment. This is the recipe for a life of perpetual dissatisfaction. You must reclaim your life from the tyranny of the mind. You must understand this essential truth. Your inner fire does not burn yesterday. Your fire will not burn tomorrow. It only and ever burns now. The past is ash. The future is smoke. The only thing that is real is the living flame of this very moment. All of your power, all of your creativity, all of your love, all of your life is contained entirely within this single, eternal now. To awaken is to come home to the now. Think of your life, your consciousness, as the flame of a candle. You cannot see the flame that existed 1 second ago. It is gone forever, vanished into memory. You cannot see the flame that will exist 1 second from now. It is unborn, a mere potential. All you can ever perceive is the flame as it is, in its constant, vibrant, ever-present state of burning. Your entire life is a single, continuous moment of now constantly renewing itself. To be lost in thought, to be trapped in psychological time, is to be like a person staring at a candle flame, but thinking only of the wax that has already melted or the wick that has yet to burn. They are missing the light itself. They are missing everything. The way home to the now is through the body. Your mind can travel anywhere, but your body is always, undeniably, in the present moment. Your breath is always happening now. The sensations in your hands are always happening now. The ground beneath your feet is always supporting you now. The practice, then, is to consciously and deliberately shift your attention from the world of abstract thought into the world of direct, sensory perception. We will call this anchoring in the now. This is not a formal, complicated meditation. It is an emergency brake for the runaway mind. It is a portal you can access anywhere, at any time. When you notice you are lost, when you feel the familiar grip of anxiety about the future or the heavy cloak of regret about the past, you must anchor yourself. Choose one sense. Feel your feet on the floor. Really feel them. Notice the pressure, the temperature, the texture of your socks. Wiggle your toes inside your shoes. In the few seconds it takes to do this, you have left the phantom world of thought and landed squarely in the reality of your body. You are here, now. Or, listen. Close your eyes for a moment and just listen. Do not label the sounds. Do not judge them as pleasant or unpleasant. Simply allow them to be vibrations entering your ears. The hum of a computer, the distant sound of a siren, the chirping of a bird, hear them all as a single unified symphony of the now. Or, look, pick one object in your field of vision, a pen, a leaf, a crack in the pavement. Look at it as if you have never seen it before. See its color, its texture, its shape, its intricate details, without the mental label pen or leaf. See it simply as pure form and color. You are short-circuiting the mind's habit of labeling and abstracting everything. You are seeing reality directly. The most powerful anchor of all is your breath. The breath is the perfect bridge between the conscious and unconscious worlds, and it is always with you. Feel the physical sensation of the air as it enters your nostrils, cool and dry. Follow it as it fills your lungs. Feel the slight pause, and then feel it as it leaves your body warm and moist. Do this for just 3 breaths. In those 15 seconds, you have brought yourself home. You have stepped out of the chaotic dream of psychological time and into the peaceful reality of the present moment. As you practice this anchoring throughout your day, your entire perception of life will begin to shift. You will start to experience the world not as a series of problems to be solved or goals to be achieved, but as a rich, vibrant, and miraculous unfolding. The ordinary will become sacred. The taste of a simple glass of water, the feeling of the sun on your skin, the sound of a loved one's laughter. These moments, which the mind had previously dismissed as insignificant, will reveal themselves to be the very substance of a life well lived. You will begin to truly inhabit your body, to feel at home in your own skin. This deep, embodied presence is the foundation for the next layer of connection. For when you are fully present in your own physical form, you become sensitive to the intelligence and the presence of the larger body to which you belong, the living, breathing body of the earth itself. You have found your anchor in the timeless sanctuary of the now. By returning to your senses, by returning to your breath, you have stepped out of the phantom worlds of past and future. You have come home. And where is that home? It is here, in the one place you have always, and will always, inhabit in this lifetime. It is your body. For too long we have treated the body as an afterthought, an inconvenience, or an enemy. We have been taught to live in our heads, treating our physical form as little more than a vehicle to transport our brain from one meeting to the next. We praise the mind for its logic, but we ignore the body's profound, non-verbal wisdom. We have declared war on our own flesh. We treat it like a disobedient animal that must be starved, punished, and forced into submission. We scrutinize it in the mirror, cataloging its perceived flaws, its wrinkles, its scars, its failure to comply with some airbrushed, impossible ideal. We override its clear signals of hunger, of fullness, of fatigue, imposing the rigid will of our minds upon its natural rhythms. We have severed the sacred connection between mind and body, and in doing so, we have made ourselves exiles in our own home. This internal war is a source of immense and quiet suffering. It is the conflict between the ego's desire for control and the body's simple, honest truth. The ego wants to believe that with enough discipline, enough data, enough biohacking, it can conquer the body, halt its aging, and bend it to its will. The soul, however, yearns for partnership. It invites you to stop fighting and start listening, to stop commanding and start communicating, to understand that your body is not a machine to be optimized, nor a beast to be tamed. It is a sacred vessel. It is the holy temple of flesh and bone that houses the eternal flame of your consciousness. Imagine you were entrusted with the care of a beautiful, ancient oil lamp. It is a priceless artifact, and its purpose is to hold a sacred flame. Would you curse the lamp for getting dusty? Would you berate it if its oil ran low? With reverence, you would polish its surface until it gleamed. You would seek out the purest, cleanest oil to fill it. You would carefully trim its wick, ensuring the flame could draw its fuel smoothly. You would understand that the quality of the light is inseparable from the care of the lamp. You would honor the lamp as the vessel for the flame. Your body is this lamp. To honor your spirit, you must first honor its temple. The food you eat is the oil. Is it pure, clean, and life-giving, or is it murky and polluted? The way you move, rest, and breathe is the care you give to the vessel. Are you tending to it with love, or are you treating it with neglect and contempt? Your nervous system is the wick. Is it frayed and jangled by constant stress and stimulation, or is it calm and well-tended, able to draw upon your energy reserves with ease? You cannot expect a bright, steady flame from a neglected, dirty lamp. To care for your body is not an act of vanity. It is a profound spiritual practice. It is an act of devotion to the light within you. And this sacred vessel, your body, does not exist in a vacuum. It is inextricably part of a larger body, a greater temple, the earth itself. Just as we have divorced our minds from our bodies, we have divorced our lives from the earth. We see it as a dead resource, a collection of commodities to be exploited, a stage upon which we play out our human dramas. We have forgotten what every one of our ancient ancestors knew in their bones, that the earth is a living, breathing, intelligent being. It is the Great Mother, the source of all nourishment, the ultimate ground of our existence. The air you are breathing right now is a gift from the trees. The water that makes up most of your body is the same water that flows in the rivers and falls as rain. The minerals in your bones were forged in the heart of the earth. You are not living on the earth. You are the earth, experiencing itself in human form. To be disconnected from nature is to be disconnected from your own larger self. It is to be a lamp trying to burn without a source for its oil. The healing of this great divide, both within and without, comes from the practice of embodied presence. It is the simple, radical act of choosing to fully inhabit your senses and your physical form. It begins with the most basic acts of life. When you eat, simply eat. Turn off the screens, put down your phone, look at the food on your plate, see its colors, its textures, smell its aroma. When you take a bite, chew slowly. Taste the complex flavors. Consider the miracle you are participating in, the energy of the sun, the soil, and the rain, transformed into this substance that is now becoming you. This is not just eating, it is a communion. Spend a few moments each day simply feeling your body from the inside. Lie down and bring your awareness to your hands. Feel the subtle tingle of aliveness in your palms and fingertips. Can you feel your own pulse? Bring your awareness to your feet. Feel their solidity, their connection to the ground, even through your shoes. You do not need to change anything. Your only task is to inhabit, to be present with the quiet, miraculous intelligence of your own body. And then, you must take this practice outside. You must reconnect your vessel to the great altar. The simplest and most powerful way to do this is to practice what is called earthing. Take off your shoes and socks and stand for a few minutes on the naked earth. Feel the grass between your toes. Feel the cool soil, the rough texture of a rock, the warmth of the sand. Your body is an electrical system, and the earth is a vast field of gentle, healing energy. In that simple moment of skin-to-earth contact, you are plugging your lamp back into its source. You are grounding your frayed nervous system, discharging the static of modern life, and drawing up the calm, steady energy of the planet. As you begin to live in this more embodied, more grounded way, you will become attuned to rhythms you had previously ignored. You will notice the subtle shifts in your own energy throughout the day, the month, the seasons. You will see these personal cycles reflected perfectly in the world around you. The tireless growth of spring, the full expression of summer, the graceful release of autumn, the deep, restorative stillness of winter. You stop fighting these cycles and begin to flow with them. You understand that there is a time for doing and a time for being, a time for shining brightly and a time for gathering strength in the dark. This deep, cellular understanding of the cyclical nature of all life prepares you for the ultimate spiritual lesson. It gives you the rootedness and the resilience to stand firm and yet flexible in the face of life's most powerful and inevitable force. The constant, unstoppable, and ultimately graceful dance of impermanence. You are grounded now, rooted in the temple of your body, connected to the great altar of the earth. You have begun to feel the rhythm of life in your own bones, the subtle ebb and flow of energy, the cycles of stillness and action. This embodied wisdom has prepared you for one of the most profound and liberating recognitions on the spiritual path. It has prepared you to face the fundamental truth of the universe, a truth that the ego fears above all others, but which the soul recognizes as the very signature of life itself. This is the truth of impermanence. Everything changes, everything ends. Nothing in this manifest world is built to last. Not your body, not your possessions, not your relationships, not your achievements, not even your most cherished beliefs. All forms are temporary, all structures are fleeting, all of life is a river, and you cannot step into the same river twice. This simple, undeniable fact is the source of almost all human anxiety and sorrow. The ego, in its quest for security, seeks to build a solid, permanent home on the constantly shifting sands of time. It clings, it grasps, it tries to freeze-frame moments of happiness, to preserve them like butterflies pinned in a display case, killing the very life it seeks to hold. It desperately resists loss, fighting against the natural process of aging, of decay, of endings, as if it were a personal affront, a cosmic injustice. We spend our lives trying to build monuments to permanence in a universe that is defined by change. And so, our lives become a constant struggle, a tense, exhausting effort of holding on in a world that is eternally letting go. We suffer not because things change, but because we expect them to stay the same. The inner conflict is between the mind's desperate craving for a predictable, stable, and permanent reality, and the universe's ceaseless, magnificent, and unapologetic dance of creation and destruction. We want the security of the harbor, but the soul longs for the adventure of the open sea. We want life to be a static photograph, but it is, and can only ever be, a moving picture. To resist this flow is to condemn yourself to a life of friction, disappointment, and grief. To learn to flow with it is to unlock a peace and a freedom beyond the mind's comprehension. You must unlearn the belief that impermanence is a curse. You must begin to see it as a grace. Look again at the fire, the central metaphor for your own soul. How does a fire exist? It exists only through a continuous process of transformation. It must constantly consume its fuel, the wood. In the act of consuming it, it destroys the wood's form. The log ceases to be a log. It becomes ash. But in this act of destruction, something new is created. Light, heat, energy. The fire's life depends on its willingness to let go of its fuel. If the fire were to cling to the log, to say, "No, I will not let you burn, I will not let you change," the fire itself would be extinguished in an instant. The destruction of the old form is the absolute prerequisite for the creation of new energy. Life is exactly this fire. The end of your childhood was necessary for your adolescence to begin. The end of a job is necessary for a new career to emerge. The release of an old belief is necessary for a new wisdom to dawn. The destruction is never the final word. It is always the prelude to a new creation. The ancient myth of the phoenix captures this truth perfectly. The magnificent bird, after living its long life, does not cling to its old form in terror. It does not fight against the end. It builds its own nest of sacred herbs and willingly allows itself to be consumed by flame. It surrenders to the transformative power of destruction. It trusts the fire. And from the ashes of its old self, a new, more glorious, and more vital phoenix is reborn. You too are this phoenix. Life will continuously ask you to let go of your old forms, your old identities, your old attachments. You can either see the fire as a terrifying enemy, or you can see it as the sacred agent of your own renewal. You can either cling to the ashes of your past, or you can rise from them, renewed. Impermanence is the ultimate grace because it is what makes life precious. It is the built-in, non-negotiable deadline that gives every moment its value. You love more deeply because you know that you and your loved ones are here for only a short time. You appreciate beauty more profoundly because you know the sunset will fade and the flower will wilt. Each breath is a gift precisely because it is finite. If you had forever, you would have no reason to be present, no reason to savor, no reason to love with all your heart right now. The transience of life is not its flaw. It is its greatest blessing. It is the black velvet background against which the diamond of the present moment can truly sparkle. To integrate this wisdom, you must begin to practice the art of letting go. First, look to your greatest teacher, nature. Nature understands impermanence perfectly. A great oak tree does not grieve when its leaves fall in autumn. It does not cling to them. It releases them gracefully, trusting that this release is necessary for the deep rest of winter and the new growth of spring. A river does not mourn the water that flows out to the sea. It welcomes the new water that flows down from the mountains. Spend time in nature and observe these endless cycles of release and renewal. See the beauty in endings. See how every decay is a nourishment for a new beginning. Then create a sacred practice for your own life. We will call this the letting go ceremony. Find a time when you can be alone and undisturbed. On a small piece of paper, write down something that you are clinging to. It could be a resentment against someone who hurt you. It could be an attachment to a past version of yourself. It could be a fear about the future. It could be an identity that no longer serves you. Be honest. What are you refusing to release? Once you have written it down, take a moment to acknowledge it. Thank it for the lesson it taught you, for the role it played in your life. And then, in a safe and controlled way, using a fireproof bowl or a fireplace, set the paper alight. As you watch the paper curl and turn to smoke and ash, visualize your attachment to it dissolving in the same way. See the energy that was trapped in that old pattern being released back into the universe, free now to be used for new creations in your life. As you watch the last ember die, take a deep breath and feel the lightness, the space that has been created inside you. When you learn to dance with impermanence, when you stop trying to build a permanent fortress and instead become a graceful traveler, the entire focus of your life shifts. If nothing external can ever be permanently kept, then where is true meaning to be found? It cannot be in the accumulation of things, titles, or experiences, for these are all destined to fade. Meaning, you begin to realize, must be found in something else. It must be found not in what you have, but in who you are. Not in the fleeting forms you inhabit, but in the eternal quality of the flame that animates them. The search for meaning shifts from an external pursuit to an internal discovery. You stop asking, what can I get from the world? And you start asking, what is the unique quality of light that I am here to shine into the world? This is the beginning of the search for your true purpose, for your soul's unique signature. This is the search for your dharma, You have danced with the great truth of impermanence. You have accepted that nothing in the external world, no achievement, no possession, no relationship can offer a permanent foundation for your life. You have released the desperate cling to form. This brings a profound peace, but it also raises the most fundamental of all human questions. If the meaning of my life is not in what I can build or hold, then why am I here? What is my purpose? For many, this question is the beginning of a new and terrible anxiety. It launches a frantic search, a desperate quest to find your purpose, as if it were a hidden treasure or a lost object. We believe it is a specific destination we must arrive at, and until we do, we are adrift, and our lives are without meaning. This frantic search is born from a deep cultural misunderstanding of what purpose truly is. We have been taught that purpose is a job title, a career, a grand, heroic mission. You are meant to be a doctor who saves lives, an artist who moves the soul, an entrepreneur who changes the world. The pressure is immense. We look at others who seem to have found their singular thing, and we are consumed by a corrosive envy and a sense of our own inadequacy. We feel we are falling behind in a silent, cosmic race. We ask ourselves, what is my passion? What am I supposed to be doing? We try on different identities like ill-fitting clothes, hoping one will suddenly feel like our authentic self. But this approach is flawed from the very beginning, because it looks for purpose in the realm of doing, when true purpose can only ever be found in the realm of being. The conflict that arises is between the pressure to conform to a recognizable template of success and the quiet, often confusing, pull of your own unique nature. You may feel a deep joy in quiet contemplation, but the world tells you to be ambitious. You may be exquisitely sensitive and compassionate, but the world tells you to be tough and competitive. You may love to create things with your hands, but the world tells you to pursue a more intellectual or lucrative career. And so you try to force your soul into a shape that is not its own. You try to convince yourself that you should want what others want. This is a path of silent suffering, a betrayal of your own essence. It is to live your life according to someone else's definition of a life well lived. It is time to abandon this painful and fruitless search. It is time to embrace a deeper, more ancient understanding of purpose. In the wisdom traditions of the East, this is known as Dharma. Dharma is not a job you find. It is a truth you embody. It is your intrinsic nature, your essential function in the grand cosmic order. The Dharma of the sun is to shine. The Dharma of a river is to flow. The Dharma of a bird is to fly. It is not what they do occasionally. It is what they are. They express their purpose simply by being themselves, fully and unapologetically. You too have a Dharma. It is the unique quality of consciousness that only you can bring to the world. Your purpose is not to become something you are not. Your purpose is to become more fully, more magnificently, more unapologetically yourself. Imagine the world as a vast, beautiful garden. For the garden to be whole and magnificent, it needs a breathtaking diversity of expression. It needs the towering, optimistic sunflower. It needs the intricate, passionate rose. It needs the fragrant, delicate jasmine. It needs the humble, grounding, and essential blade of grass. Now, what is the purpose of the rose? Is it to feel inadequate because it cannot grow as tall as the sunflower? Is it to feel plain because it does not have the exotic scent of the jasmine? The purpose of the rose is to be the most complete and glorious expression of roseness that it can possibly be. Its purpose is to embody its own unique combination of color, form, texture, and fragrance. In being itself so fully, it fulfills its sacred role in the garden. For you to try and live out the purpose of another is for the rose to attempt to become a sunflower. It is a futile and tragic waste of its own unique beauty, and the garden is poorer for its absence. You must stop asking, "What should I do with my life?" This question comes from the head, and it will only ever lead to more confusion and comparison. Instead, you must begin to ask questions that come from the soul. Start by asking, when do I feel most alive? What activities, what states of being, make you lose all track of time? When do you enter that magical state of flow, where your sense of a separate self seems to melt away and you are simply a channel for a creative energy moving through you? It could be when you are cooking, when you are walking in the woods, when you are solving a complex problem, when you are making someone laugh, when you are organizing a chaotic space. Pay attention to these moments. They are not random. They are vital clues pointing you toward your intrinsic nature. Next, you must ask, what is the essential quality that I naturally bring to the world? Forget about job titles. Think in terms of energy. Are you a person who naturally brings a sense of calm and peace to a chaotic room? Then your dharma is to be a peacemaker, whether you do that as a mother, a mediator, a therapist, or a gardener. Are you a person who naturally brings a spark of joy and creative energy? Then your dharma is to be an inspirer, whether you do that as a teacher, an artist, a comedian, or an innovative manager. Are you a person who naturally brings a sense of order and clarity to confusion? Then your dharma is to be an organizer, whether you do that as a project manager, a community leader, a scientist, or simply the one who lovingly tends to your own home. Discovering your dharma is about identifying the unique flavor of your soul, and then consciously choosing to bring that flavor to everything you do. You can live your dharma in any profession, in any role. It is not the outer form of your life that matters, but the inner quality of your presence. Live in this way. Focus not on finding a grand purpose, but on embodying your authentic quality in the small, everyday moments of your life. If your quality is compassion, be compassionate when you are stuck in traffic. If your quality is creativity, be creative in how you arrange your desk. Bring your full, authentic self to the life you are already living, and a miraculous thing begins to happen. When you stop striving and start embodying, the universe begins to bring you outer forms jobs, roles, opportunities that are in perfect resonance with your inner quality. You do not find your purpose and then live it. You live your essence, and your purpose finds you. A rose does not struggle to find bees. By simply being a magnificent rose, it becomes an irresistible beacon for the bees. Its service to the ecosystem is an effortless, joyful byproduct of its own authenticity. In the same way, you do not need to worry about serving the world. That is the ego's grandiosity. Your service to the world is to be yourself, fully and completely. To tend to your own flame, to burn with your own unique color, is the greatest gift you can possibly give. An authentic, joyful, peaceful human being is a healing presence on this planet. When you live in alignment with your dharma, your life becomes a work of art, and the light that shines from you ceases to be a small, flickering candle. It becomes a steady, brilliant beacon, a guiding light for others who are still lost, searching for a purpose outside of themselves. You have found the rhythm of your own dharma. By ceasing to strive and choosing instead to simply be, you have become an embodiment of your soul's unique quality. You are living as the rose, expressing your authentic fragrance without apology or effort, and a profound shift begins to occur. Your focus, which has for so long been directed inward on the necessary work of healing and integration, now naturally begins to turn outward. Having discovered your own light, you become aware of the darkness and confusion in the world around you. And the noble, human impulse to help, to serve, to alleviate suffering arises in your heart. This is a beautiful and sacred impulse, but it is also a place of great peril, for the ego is a master of disguise, and it loves nothing more than to wear the mask of a savior. We must first deconstruct the ego's version of helping. The ego sees a world of problems to be solved, and it wants to be the problem solver. It sees broken people, and it wants to be the one who fixes them. This is the savior complex. It is a subtle form of arrogance that places you in a position of superiority. It looks upon another's struggle and says, "I have the answer you lack." This form of helping, while often well-intentioned, ultimately disempowers the other person. It can create dependency and reinforce their own sense of victimhood. Another form of egoic helping is the giving of unsolicited advice. You see another's predicament, and because it mirrors an issue you have faced, you rush in with your solutions, your book recommendations, your spiritual formulas, without ever being asked. This is often less about serving them and more about validating your own journey and knowledge. And perhaps the most common trap is using helping as a form of escape. We become so engrossed in the dramas and problems of our friends, our family, and the world that we are conveniently distracted from our own continued inner work. It is far easier to try and solve someone else's mess than to sit with our own. On the other side of this coin lies the ego's other favorite trap, the belief that you are not good enough to serve. The mind will present you with a detailed inventory of all your remaining flaws, your inconsistencies, your incomplete healing. Who are you to help anyone? It will taunt. You are still a mess yourself. You must wait until you are perfectly enlightened, perfectly healed, perfectly pure. This, too, is a trick. It is a form of self-obsession masquerading as humility. It keeps the focus squarely on your own perceived inadequacies, preventing your light, imperfect as it may be, from shining at all. The inner conflict, then, is between the arrogant desire to be the hero of someone else's story and the paralyzing fear that you are not worthy to even be a minor character. Both are delusions. Both are distractions from the nature of true service. True service has nothing to do with doing. It has everything to do with being. It is not an activity, it is a transmission. It is the natural, effortless radiation of your own inner state. Your greatest gift to the world, your most profound act of service, is to be a person who is at peace. It is to be a person who has done the inner work to be clear, grounded, and loving. A peaceful, authentic human being is a healing presence on this planet, more powerful than any charity, more effective than any advice. You must abandon the model of the helper and embrace the model of the lighthouse. A lighthouse does not concern itself with the individual dramas of every ship at sea. It does not leave its rocky perch to chase down vessels lost in the fog. It does not shout instructions across the waves. To do so would be to abandon its post and its purpose. The lighthouse has only one job: to tend to its own light, to keep its lamp fueled, its glass clean, its foundation strong. Its one task is to shine, steadily, consistently, and without agenda. By simply being a reliable point of light in the darkness, it allows all ships to navigate their own course. It empowers them to find their own way. It serves not by doing, but by being. Your service is to be this lighthouse. Your primary responsibility is to your own flame. Is it burning brightly? Is your fuel, your spiritual practice clean and consistent? Is the glass of your perception clear and free from the soot of judgment? Is your foundation, your connection to your body and the earth strong and stable? This is the work. And the service is an effortless byproduct of this work. Or think of the sun. The sun does not feel depleted by shining. It does not choose which flowers deserve its light and which do not. It does not worry if the planets are grateful. Its service is an unconditional and ceaseless radiation of its own nature. It simply is itself, and in being itself, it makes all life possible. This understanding calls for a new form of practice. It is a practice of quiet, invisible, and profoundly respectful service. We will call it silent service. This is something you can do in any interaction, with anyone, at any time. When you are with another person, be it a stressed-out colleague, an angry family member, or a sad friend, your first act of service is to be fully present. Offer them the rare and sacred gift of your undivided, non-judgmental attention. As they speak of their storm, your second act of service is to refuse to enter it with them. They may be consumed by the clouds of their anxiety or anger, but you must remain as the sky. You do not do this from a place of cold detachment, but from a place of deep, compassionate stability. you become the calm, steady anchor in their turbulent sea. And the third act, the most potent, is to silently and lovingly hold a high watch for them. While they may be identified with their weakness, their fear, their brokenness, you, in the quiet of your own heart, hold a vision of their highest self. You see the eternal flame within them, the indestructible diamond of their being, even if they have completely forgotten it is there. You silently radiate a frequency of peace and love toward them. You are not trying to change them. You are not trying to fix them. You are simply offering a pure, alternative vibration into the shared energetic space. It is like placing a perfectly tuned singing bowl in a room filled with jarring noise. You do not force the noise to stop. You simply introduce a clear, harmonious resonance. The other person's being can then, if it chooses, begin to entrain with that higher frequency. You do all of this secretly, without any need for acknowledgement or praise. This is service from the soul. It is pure, agenda-free, and it honors the sovereignty of the other person's journey. When you begin to live as this beacon, as this silent, radiant presence, you realize that your purpose is not to save the world. It is to embody a different possibility, a different way of being that might inspire the world to save itself. You are not here to pull people out of the river. You are here to be a living demonstration that it is possible to learn how to swim. But to be this steady lighthouse, to know when to speak and when to offer only silent presence, to discern what another truly needs beyond what their ego is. Demanding this requires a form of knowledge that is not of the mind. It requires a deep and abiding trust in the subtle, nonlinear, and profoundly accurate language of the soul. It requires you to learn to listen to your intuition. You have committed to being a beacon, a steady light in a turbulent world. Your service is not in the frantic doing of the ego, but in the quiet, powerful being of the soul. But this new way of living requires a new way of navigating. How do you know when to offer a word of comfort and when to offer the gift of your silence? How do you discern the right path when it diverges from all logical maps? To be a lighthouse, you must be in constant communication with the source of your light. You must learn to understand the language of the flame. This language is not spoken in words. It is the silent, instantaneous, and profoundly wise language of intuition. Our modern world has enthroned one form of intelligence, the intellect. The intellect is the logical, analytical, reasoning mind. It is a magnificent and powerful tool. It builds bridges, it composes symphonies, it sends rockets to the moon. Its process is linear. It gathers data from the past, analyzes it, and projects a probable future. It works by breaking things down into smaller parts. It is a brilliant servant, but it is a terrible master. For the intellect can only work with what is already known. It is confined to the prison of its own past experience. It cannot conceive of something truly new. It is loud, filled with debate, argument, and doubt. And we have been taught that this loud, logical voice is the only one worth listening to. But there is another intelligence within you, a deeper, quieter, more ancient form of knowing. It is your intuition. Intuition does not analyze, it knows. It does not debate, it perceives. It does not work in a linear sequence. It delivers its insights whole and complete in a flash. It is the gut feeling that tells you to trust someone, despite their flawed appearance. It is the sudden, inexplicable urge to take a different route home, only to learn later that you avoided an accident. It is the quiet whisper in your heart that knows your true path, even when it makes no logical sense. The intellect is the mind of the head. Intuition is the mind of the heart and the wisdom of the body. The intellect speaks in sentences. Intuition speaks in sensations, in images, in symbols, in a quiet, unshakable feeling of yes or no. The conflict between these two intelligences is one of the final frontiers of your inner journey. The intellect, your ego mind, is deeply suspicious of intuition. It demands proof, data, a rational explanation. When intuition offers a clear knowing without any supporting evidence, the intellect panics. It calls it illogical, unrealistic, fluffy, woo-woo. It will try to argue you out of your own inner truth, because it cannot control what it cannot understand. And because we have been so heavily conditioned to trust the intellect, we often succumb to its arguments. We ignore the gut feeling. We rationalize away the quiet whisper. We choose the sensible path over the path of the heart, and almost always, we live to regret it. How many times have you said to yourself, "I knew I should have listened to my gut"? That quiet, knowing voice was your soul, your inner flame, trying to guide you. Your intuition is the very language of your soul. It is the way your higher self communicates with your human self. To learn this language, you must first believe it exists. Then you must learn to create the silence necessary to hear its whisper. And finally, you must have the courage to trust its guidance. Imagine your inner flame. It is constantly giving off signals about the surrounding environment. It gives off light, it gives off heat, and it gives off smoke. A novice, standing before a fire, just sees smoke. But an experienced tracker, a wise elder, sees a language. By observing the color of the smoke, its thickness, the way it drifts on the wind, they can read a vast amount of information. They can know if the wood is wet or dry, if the fire is healthy, if a storm is coming. They have learned to read the subtle signals. Your intuition is this smoke. At first, it may seem vague and unreliable, just a hazy feeling. But as you pay attention, as you become a student of your own inner signals, you will learn to read them with stunning accuracy. You will learn the difference between the acrid, contracting smoke of fear and the clear, expansive plume of true intuitive knowing. To become fluent in this language, you must practice. You must become a tracker of your own soul's signals. The most effective way to do this is to start an intuition journal. This is your sacred field guide. Get a notebook dedicated solely to this purpose. And in it, you will record the subtle signals without judgment. Did you have a gut feeling about a person or situation? Write it down. Did you have a strange, vivid dream that felt significant? Write it down. Did you have a sudden, out-of-the-blue hunch to call a friend or read a certain book? Write it down. Did you experience a meaningful synchronicity thinking of an old song and then hearing it on the radio or seeing the same number sequence over and over again? Write it down. The crucial rule of this practice is this: you must record the event without immediate analysis. Do not try to figure out what it means. The ego will want to jump in and dissect everything. Your only job is to honor the subtle signal by giving it a concrete form on the page. You are simply collecting data, then periodically, perhaps once a month, read back through your journal. This is when the magic happens. This is when the patterns emerge. You will begin to see with your own eyes how often your gut feelings were correct. You will see how a strange hunch led to a beautiful, unforeseen opportunity. You will see the connections between a dream and a later event. You are building a body of evidence, a logical case file that your skeptical intellect cannot refute. You are proving to yourself that there is an unseen intelligence at work in your life, a loving guidance that is always available to you when you are quiet enough to listen. This practice builds trust. It builds the courage to act on a whisper, to take a leap of faith based on a feeling, to choose the path of the heart over the loud protests of the head. As you learn to live by this intuitive guidance, your experience of the world will fundamentally change. Life will cease to feel like a series of random, disconnected events. You will begin to perceive the hidden threads that connect everything. The synchronicities will become more frequent, more obvious, more playful. You will feel as though you are in a constant, flowing dialogue with the universe itself. The line between your mind and the world's mind will begin to blur. You will realize that the intuitive whisper you hear inside is not just your own small voice. It is the voice of the entire cosmos, whispering its secrets to a part of itself. You will realize that your flame is not separate from the great fire. You are a wave, beginning to remember that your true nature is the ocean. This is the doorway to the ultimate recognition, the final dissolving of the illusion of separation. It is the realization of oneness. You have learned to trust the whispers of intuition. You have begun to follow the invisible threads that weave through your life, revealing a world that is not random, but is instead a deeply intelligent and responsive tapestry of meaning. The synchronicities have shown you that you are in a dialogue with the universe. Now, you are ready to understand the true nature of this dialogue. You are ready to realize that you are not just speaking to the universe. You are the universe, speaking to itself. This is the final veil to be lifted. It is the dissolution of the most fundamental illusion of the human mind, the illusion of separation. From the moment you were taught your name, you began to construct a sense of a separate self. This is me, and everything else is not me. My body, my thoughts, my feelings, my story. Your entire life experience has been filtered through this lens of me versus the other. This sense of being a separate, isolated ego, a skin-encapsulated consciousness, is the root cause of all fear. If you are separate, you can be threatened. If you are separate, you can be lonely. If you are separate, you can lack something. If you are separate, you must compete for resources, for love, for survival. This belief in separation is the source of all conflict, from a petty argument between partners to a war between nations. It is the original wound, the foundational error from which all suffering grows. Your entire spiritual journey has been a process of healing this wound. By becoming the sky to your thoughts, you realized you are not your mind. By integrating your shadow, you realized you are not just your good parts. By becoming the lighthouse, you realized your purpose is not selfish. Now, you stand before the final illusion. The ego, the sense of a separate self, will fight this realization with all its remaining strength. It will scream, "But I am unique. My journey has been special. My thoughts are my own. If I am not separate, I will be annihilated. I will dissolve into a cosmic soup, losing my precious individuality." This is the ego's ultimate fear. Not death of the body, but death of its own definition. It would rather be a special, separate, suffering self than a blissful, connected no-self. The conflict is between the ego's frantic clinging to its specialness and the soul's serene recognition of its universality. But the great secret is this: you lose nothing of value. You only lose the prison. You only lose the illusion of your own limitation. You must now see the truth. You are not a drop of water in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a single drop. Imagine a wave rising from the sea. It has a unique form, a unique path, a unique moment of cresting and crashing upon the shore. It is, in its form, a temporary and individual event. But what is its substance? What is it made of? It is made of ocean. It is, and has never been, separate from the ocean. It is simply the ocean expressing itself for a moment as a wave. When the wave crashes, does the ocean mourn its loss? No, for nothing has been lost. The water has simply returned to its source, ready to rise again in a new form. You are this wave, your personality, your body, your name, your story. This is the beautiful, unique, and temporary form of the wave. But your consciousness, the fundamental awareness that says, "I am," is the ocean itself. When you realize this, you do not lose your individuality. You simply stop identifying with the temporary form of the wave, and you remember your true nature as the vast, eternal, and boundless ocean. Your fear of death, the fear of the wave crashing on the shore dissolves, for you know that your essential being is indestructible. Or consider this. In a great dark hall, there are countless candles, each burning with its own flame. Each flame has its own location, its own flicker, its own dance. They appear to be separate, but what is the substance of each flame? It is fire. The light that radiates from each candle is not a different kind of light. It is all the same. Light, expressing itself through different points. The light is one. The candles are many. You are a candle, but your true identity is the light itself. The flame within you and the flame within the person you love and the person you struggle with and the tree outside your window and the star in the distant galaxy all come from the same, single, universal source. They are all expressions of the one great flame. When this is no longer a concept, but a lived, felt reality, your world is reborn. The very foundation of fear is pulled out from under you. How can you be lonely when you are intrinsically connected to everything that exists? How can you fear lack when you are the very substance of the universe? How can you envy another's success when their light is your light? And most profoundly, how can you harm another being? To harm another is to harm yourself. It becomes a logical and energetic impossibility. Compassion ceases to be a spiritual practice you must cultivate. It becomes the natural, spontaneous, and only possible response to the world. You look at another person, and you see yourself in a different costume. You look at an animal, and you see the one life looking back at you through different eyes. You look at a tree, and you recognize the same silent, steady presence that resides in the core of your own being. The world transforms from a collection of separate objects into a single, vibrant, intelligent, and loving organism. And you are not just a part of it. You are it. You can practice this recognition. We will call it the Namaste meditation. The ancient Sanskrit word namaste is often translated as "the divine in me bows to the divine in you." It is a recognition of the one flame in two vessels. Find a person to practice with, or simply look at a photograph of someone, or bring their image to mind. Look into their eyes. Look past the personality, past the history, past the armor. Gaze softly into their eyes, as if they were windows into the one soul, and silently, from the deepest part of your heart, repeat the intention. The flame in me recognizes the flame in you. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. We are one. Do not just say the words. Try to feel the truth of them. Feel the sense of separation between you and the other person begin to dissolve. Feel the hard edges of your ego soften, replaced by a sense of reverence, of kinship, of love. See if you can feel the shared consciousness, the shared life force that animates you both. This realization of oneness is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of a truly enlightened life. It is the point where you stop trying to heal yourself, because you realize there is no separate self to heal. You stop trying to find your purpose, because you realize your purpose is simply to be an expression of this universal consciousness. The entire game changes. You are no longer a struggling human being seeking the light. You are the light, pretending for a little while to be a human being. And so, the final question is no longer, how do I tend to my flame? The final question is, how do I live as the flame? You have glimpsed the ultimate reality. In the silent depths of your being, you have touched the truth of oneness. You have felt the illusion of the separate self dissolve and recognized your true nature as the one consciousness, the one fire that animates all of existence. It is a breathtaking, life-altering realization. And in its wake, the mind, ever the pragmatist, returns with a question. So if I am the universal soul, why did I just get angry at the driver who cut me off? If I am the eternal flame, why do I still feel a pang of sadness when I hear that old song? If I have seen the truth, why does my human life still feel so human? This is perhaps the most important and misunderstood juncture on the entire spiritual path. It is the moment we must dismantle our final and most subtle illusion, the myth of enlightenment as a final destination. We carry in our minds a romanticized image of the awakened being. We picture a serene sage sitting placidly under a tree, forever untouched by the turmoil of the world. We imagine a state of perpetual bliss, a permanent immunity to all negative emotions, a graduation from the messy, complicated business of being human. And because we hold this impossible ideal, we judge our own experience against it. After a profound meditation or a moment of deep insight, we feel blissful. But when the ordinary anxieties and irritations of life inevitably return, we fall into despair. We think, "I've lost it. It wasn't real. I have failed." This belief that enlightenment is a static, perfect state you must achieve and then hold on to forever is the ego's last and most cunning trap. It turns the beautiful, liberating truth of your being into another goal to strive for, another stick with which to beat yourself. The conflict is between the desire to escape the human condition and the invitation to become fully, divinely present within it. You have climbed the mountain and seen the breathtaking, limitless view. The ego wants to build a house on the summit and live there forever, never again descending into the messy, unpredictable valley below. But the soul knows that the purpose of climbing the mountain was not to escape the valley. It was to bring the perspective of the mountaintop down into your daily life, to see the valley with new eyes. The goal is not to stop being a wave. It is for the wave to remember it is the ocean, even as it crests and falls. The goal is not to eliminate the clouds. It is for the sky to remain aware of its own boundless nature, even as the storm rages within it. You must let go of the idea of arrival. There is no finish line. The awakened state is not a place you get to. It is a way of being that you choose to inhabit, moment by moment by moment. And its defining characteristic is not the absence of darkness, but the unwavering presence of your own light within that darkness. You do not seek the flame, you are the flame. And the nature of a flame is not to be static. Its nature is to burn, to dance, to transform whatever it touches. When you place beautiful, dry, seasoned wood into a fire, it burns with a clean, bright, and joyful light. When you place damp, green, smoky wood into a fire, it sputters, it struggles, it produces smoke and soot. But notice, the fire does not refuse the damp wood. It does not judge the wood. It simply does what a fire does. It applies its heat, its nature, to whatever is present. It burns. Your life will present you with both kinds of wood. There will be moments of joy, love, and peace, the seasoned wood. And there will be moments of grief, fear, and confusion, the damp, smoky logs. The unawakened person identifies with the quality of the wood. They believe they are the joy or they are the grief. The awakened person identifies with the fire. They understand their job is simply to burn, to meet whatever experience arises with the steady, transformative heat of their conscious awareness. They illuminate their joy and they illuminate their sorrow. They bring the light of their presence to both. This is the essence of living an awakened life. It is a dynamic, moment-to-moment dance between your timeless, infinite nature and your temporary, finite human form. You are both the sky and the cloud. You are both the ocean and the wave. You are both the fire and the fuel. The enlightened human being is not one who has transcended their humanity. They are one who has become transparent to the divinity that flows through their humanity. They feel everything, perhaps more deeply than before, but they do not cling to anything. They are a clear channel for the universe to experience itself. So, how do you live this? How do you practice being the flame? You begin by reframing the very intention of your day. Most people wake up with a question born of the mind, what do I have to do today? Their day is defined by a list of tasks, a series of external goals. This is the life of the ego. You must begin your day with a new question, a question born of the soul. How can I be the flame today? This one question changes everything. It shifts your focus from outer achievement to inner embodiment. As you go about your day, you continually bring yourself back to this intention. When you are drinking your morning coffee, you ask, how can I bring the quality of warmth, of presence, to this simple act? When you are in a difficult meeting at work, you ask, how can I be a source of light, of clarity, in this conversation? When you are playing with your children, you ask, "How can I radiate the pure heat of unconditional love?" When you are faced with a mundane chore like washing the dishes, you ask, "How can I transform this moment into a meditation, an act of presence?" You are no longer trying to get through the day to reach a destination of rest. You are transforming every single moment of the day into the destination itself. Each moment becomes an opportunity to practice being what you are. You are the fire that warms. You are the light that illuminates. You are the consciousness that transforms. This is not an end. It is not a graduation. It is a beginning. It is the beginning of a life lived from the inside out. It is the beginning of a life where your being and your doing become one. You are the sky, and you are here to experience the weather. You are the ocean, and you are here to enjoy the magnificent ride of being a wave. You are the lighthouse, and you are here to shine. You are the eternal flame, and you are here for the holy, beautiful, and sacred purpose of simply, magnificently burning. And so, our journey together comes to a close, but your own journey, the real journey, is just beginning. We began in a silent void, searching for a spark. We have traveled through the storms of the mind, we have faced the shadows in the heart, and we have danced in the fire of truth. And now we arrive not at a destination but at the place we started, seeing it for the first time. The great secret, you now understand, is that there was nothing to find. There was no fire to be lit. There was only the clearing away of that which was not you. The noise of the world was the ash that smothered the ember. The armor of your ego was the stone that entombed it. The illusion of your separation was the darkness that hid its light. This entire journey has been a simple, sacred act of remembrance. You were not building a fire. You were uncovering the one that has been burning within you for all eternity. You are the keeper of this flame. You have everything you need. You have the discipline to tend to it with small, consistent acts. You have the compassion to warm yourself and others with its heat. You have the courage to be vulnerable, to stand in its unprotected, brilliant core. You have the wisdom to trust its intuitive language. Do not look outside of yourself for a guru, for a savior, for permission. You are the one you have been waiting for. Your own consciousness is the light you have been seeking. Place your hand on your heart. Feel its steady beat. That is the rhythm of the universe. Feel the warmth of your own skin. That is the heat of a star, condensed into human form. You are a miracle of cosmic fire. Do not strive for perfection any longer. Perfection is a sterile, lifeless idea of the mind. Strive for wholeness. Strive for authenticity. There will be days when your flame dances with a brilliant, joyful light. And there will be days when it sputters and smokes, as it works through a difficult piece of fuel. Both are part of the sacred process. Do not judge the quality of your burning. Simply commit to the act of burning. The world does not need you to be perfect. It needs you to be present. It needs you to be true. Go now and simply burn brightly.